Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, The Avenger of the Uzumaki clan. Chapter 21. These two people have also been in the ninja school career for the past 6 years. Someone who had close contact with Menma several times. The relationship cannot be said to be close, but they can be considered familiar people, and at least Menma will not treat these people with a cold face. Of course, it is unclear and cannot be said about what will happen in the future. But it doesn't hinder normal interactions now, right? It's not that exaggerated. Hard work is one thing, and sometimes it also requires a little luck. Menma replied softly, "How about luck? Hehe, that's a very euphemistic way of saying it, Menma." Ya glanced at Sasuke, who was sitting diagonally in front of him with an indifferent expression, as if he meant something, and said with a smile. This also made Menma couldn't help but smile. Ya still has some sinister attributes in it. However, Menma, for ninjas, ninja school is just a starting point. Graduation is the highlight. Akamaru and I will not lose to you. Ya said with a confident expression. Woof woof woof. The little white dog named Akamaru who was lying on top of Ya's head also barked very cooperatively. The 12 Shaoqiang in the original work are all people with distinctive personalities. Inside, Inuzuka Kiba's personality is obviously that of a competitive person, which can be seen in the plot of the Chunin exam chapter. All the subsequent performances can further prove that this young man is a person who refuses to admit defeat. In the past, he took the initiative to talk to Menma because of his recognition of Menma, but it was also this recognition that made Gaara hope that he could surpass Menma. If young people don't become more competitive and energetic, why would they still be called young people? At least from Ya's point of view, this should be a matter of course. Well, I'll wait then, Ya. For a person with a character like Ya, Menma is not annoying at all. After all, it is easier to get along with people who are straightforward. I don't think it's possible. In terms of effort, you can't compare to the num1. In the past 6 years, you have slept in class and skipped classes as many times as I have. It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Menma hasn't said anything yet. Choji, who was showing off potato chips on the side, calmly continued to hit. And it's fast, accurate and ruthless. It directly made Ya's face turn green and red. Next moment, wow, Choji, you guy, Akamaru, come on, let this guy know how powerful we are. Woof woof woof. Words that came out loud and loud. The two of them and the dog started fighting together quickly. Quick, stop. Tell Akamaru to stop, Kiba, ah. Watching the two people having fun. There was also a faint smile in Menma's pupils. In fact, in the past, there were times when Menma had wondered whether it would be better for him to still follow the path of the prince in the original work. At least there won't be so many resistances and problems, and you can get a lot of help. And in this life, he is not alone. With the presence of a younger brother named Naruto Namikaze, I seem to be able to walk a little more smoothly. But this thought was thrown out of Menma's mind in less than a few seconds. No reason, just because he couldn't swallow the breath in his heart. Maybe you can say that Menma can do what he wants to do after successfully taking over the power of Konoha Hidden Village. But how many years will it take to get here? Secondly, although Menma won't care about those stupid ordinary people, the village of Konoha, Menma doesn't want him to continue to exist. That's right. The most real ambition hidden deep in Menma's heart is to destroy this so-called largest ninja village in the ninja world. He can restrain himself slightly, follow the last line of rationality, and for the sake of his father, not engage in any crazy revenge massacre. But this village, the two words Konoha, in Menma's heart, it represents the ultimate sense of ridicule and excitement. As well as those so-called high-level officials of Konoha, that is also one of Menma's deepest obsessions. Only by dealing with these people can he truly understand his thoughts. This village is in complete decay. The right thing to do is tear it down and start over. Single quote. Menma thought silently in his mind. Although Shikamaru on the side seemed to be aware of Menma's change of mood, he would not ask anything. Everyone has their own secrets, not to mention Shikamaru's character, he would not ask anything when it was not necessary. Under such circumstances, he would not care about other people's affairs. The graduation ceremony came on time. This is a carnival day for graduates. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, also took the time to visit the ninja school. On the large playground, facing all the graduates gathered, he made a speech that was enough to make more than 99% of the graduates felt passionate about the speech. Encouraged by Hiruzen Sarutobi, each one of them seemed to see the prospect of becoming a village hero. The eyes flashed with anticipation and excitement. It is enough to show that Sarutobi Hiruzen has really maxed out his MLM skills. It also made Menma sigh that he was worthy of being the Hokage who saved Konoha from danger. Even though he is old and incompetent now, his past achievements cannot be ignored. At least when the three ninjas grew up, Hitaki Tsukumo was still there, and he himself was in his prime. Konoha was still prosperous for a period of time. However, later, this third-generation Hokage also quickly decayed, became stupid, narrow-minded, and ridiculous. This also made Menma recall the words used to evaluate some emperors in ancient times in his previous life. Everything is good, but he died too late. Single quote. This seems to be applicable to describe Sarutobi Hiruzen. The graduation ceremony ended in a lively manner. The last remaining content is also the most important one in the graduation ceremony, class division. The students who returned to their respective classrooms looked at their own teachers on the main seat with shining eyes. Even a fool knows that it is a very advantageous thing if they can be assigned to a strong team. There is also the guiding ninja who leads the class. Most of the kids were confused, but there were still some who knew that every year when the students graduated and were divided into classes, several Jonins would be assigned to lead the team. Jonin and Chunin. There was a world of difference. Who wouldn't want their ninja instructor to be a Jonin? As soon as Iruka entered the classroom, he attracted the attention of almost all the students, and he could see through their thoughts at a glance. Iruka also showed a gentle smile on his face. First of all, the teacher would like to congratulate you on your successful graduation. From today on, you are a formal ninja of our Konohagakure village. I hope that all students must remember what the duty of being a ninja is. I look forward to seeing you all become excellent ninjas in the future. Iruka supported his hands on the podium, his eyes slowly swept over all the students below one by one, and said in the gentlest tone. Yes, Teacher Iruka. Dozens of boys and girls below also responded in unison at this moment. Looking at the lively and energetic faces below, Iruka seemed to be smiling, but he sighed in his heart, because he did not see any tension or urgency from these children. Even though Iruka had emphasized more than once in the past 6 years that becoming a ninja was a dangerous thing, not many children really took it to heart. After all, it is really hard to empathize without personal experience. As a Chunin, Iruka knows this too well. These children are now full of confidence and yearning. How many of them can survive in 1 or 2 years is an unknown. But he has fulfilled his duties as a teacher. The rest can only depend on the efforts of these children themselves. Then I will announce the division of classes. I believe you all know that in order to better complete the mission, ninjas usually form teams to perform the mission. The size of the team is generally limited to 3 to 5 people. You have just graduated. The village will also arrange an experienced senior. When I call your name, you will automatically call it. Then your team leader will come to lead you. Do you understand? Yes, the most anticipated part. It is also the most nervous part. It has been said before that no one is willing to form a team with mediocre people. As graduates of the ninja school, these little guys are still very clear about the importance of companions. Including the young master of the second pillar. He didn't care at all in the original book, but this life is a little different. If possible, he really hopes to team up with Menma. This is not only because Menma has shown absolute power in the past 6 years. Although Sasuke doesn't say it on the surface, he still recognizes it in his heart. It is also because of failure again and again. Let the second pillar at this stage have an obsession. He must defeat Menma, and it's not just an ordinary defeat. It has to be surpassed in all aspects, otherwise he can't even defeat a peer. What can he use to avenge his genius brother? Therefore, being able to be in the same team with Menma is the best result. When he thought of this, Nizuzi couldn't help but secretly glanced at Menma, but he thought it was a very obscure look. Menma could clearly see it. There is no need to look directly. With Menma's current perception, as long as others pay special attention to him, Menma can sense it at the first time. And he can probably guess what this Sasuke is thinking. If possible, Menma is actually willing to be in the same team with Sasuke. After all, in his own future plan, Nizuzi still occupies a very important position. But whether it can be achieved, that is not something Menma can control. Because of his existence, it is the biggest plot change. The fourth generation Hokage in the original book does not have two sons. Therefore, Menma was really curious about how the third Hokage would arrange the class pairing in this time and space. Of course, some of the class pairings were obviously destined. For example, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino. It's okay that there are no peers in the three families of Ino, Shika, and Cho. If there are, they must be in the same team when they graduate together. This has been the practice for decades. The team formed by the fathers of Shikamaru and the other two once had a high reputation in the ninja world. Then people from other ninja clans would often be assigned to Iki. The so-called fair and just team assignment. That's a joke. Mediocre people can never be assigned to geniuses. Even Haruno Sakura, who seems to be very mediocre in the original work, has invincible theoretical talents and outstanding chakra control ability. Later, she followed Tsunade to learn and learned most of Tsunade's moves in just 3 years, which is enough to show how excellent Haruno Sakura is. In the original work, Sakura Haruno was arranged to join Naruto and Sasuke's team. Maybe there was a little luck and accident in it, but it was definitely not that anyone could replace Sakura Haruno and become a teammate with Naruto and Sasuke. You have to know that a Jonin is definitely a representative of the top combat power of a ninja village. It is not easy to be arranged to lead a class teacher like a nanny in a ninja school. Only the next generation of young people valued by the village are eligible for such treatment. Then you have to look at the dishes. Different young generations are led by different Jonin. Kakashi leads the 7th team because Kakashi has the Sharingan and is a direct subordinate of the 4th generation. Asuma leads the 10th team because Inoshika Cho has always been a hardcore Hokage family, and Asuma is the biological son of Sarutobi Hiruzen. These are not arranged casually. Everything has profound internal reasons. It is almost impossible for those ordinary graduates to team up with people from these famous ninja families. Unless you really show extraordinary talent during your time in the ninja school and are valued by the village, otherwise, these talents will be randomly assigned to a team led by an ordinary chunin. The future fate of these people is the most common encounter in the ninja world. This is often only the tip of the iceberg shown in the original work, and what is shown more is always the passion and struggle of the protagonists. And this is the most ridiculous and pitiful thing. First class, Nobita, Shizuka, and Onikawa-ku. Yes. Class 2, Furukawa Shin, Fuji Minako, Edogawa Konan. Yes. Class 3, Endaiko, Saburo Shinoda, Rina Yunaze. Yes. The class placement results were announced in an orderly manner. Almost everything unfolds according to the established script. These ordinary students can only form a team with their ordinary classmates, and then be randomly assigned to a certain chunin. Basically, I can only remain a genin for the rest of my life. There are definitely only a few people who can be promoted to chunin. You must know that chunin is already the mainstay of the ninja village. For these ordinary students of the same grade, Menma also had no interest at all and just ignored it completely. Until the names of Class 6 were called out. Class 7, Uzumaki Menma. Uruka, who was in his first position, called out Team 7 and his own name. Menma's spirit suddenly perked up, and his eyes condensed subconsciously. This is the critical moment. Uruka didn't pause at all. Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, Naruto Namikaze. He also said the next 3 names one after another, which also caused an uproar in the whole class. Including Menma at this moment. They were all stunned for a while subconsciously. Unexpected class configuration. 4 people are in a team. Menma didn't even know what to say, let alone the other students in the class. After all, within their cognitive scope, graduation classes should be in teams of 3, with a team leader. Teacher. Why did a team of 4 suddenly appear now? Everyone widened their eyes at this moment, looking back and forth at Menma, Sasuke, and Naruto with a hint of surprise. Shikamaru raised his eyebrows, showing a look of surprise. As for the transparent Haruno Sakura, she subconsciously cheered when she heard the news about the class division. Yeah, not to mention being in the same team with Sasuke, who is in love with him, but there is also Naruto, the son of the Hokage, and a super academic like Menma, who has always been ranked first in the school, as teammates. Haruno Sakura has enough reasons to be happy. And it was also the sound of cheers. It attracted countless envious and jealous looks in the class, mostly girls, but also some boys. After all, who doesn't want to be in the same team with the person with the best grades? Haruno Sakura could also sense these hostile gazes at the first time. After shrinking her neck, she sat down again with an awkward yet polite smile, and just closed her mouth. She had no doubt that if she blathered again, no wonder these lemon-filled guys would pounce directly on me. Don't pay attention to me, don't pay attention to me. While muttering something in his mouth, he pretended to be an ostrich with its head buried in the soil. Naruto and Sasuke also looked at Menma's location with a different light in their pupils after being slightly stunned. Hoo-ho, we can be in the same team, Sasuke, Menma, and Sakura. We need to give you more advice from now on. With a very hearty smile, Naruto held out his thumb, looked at Sasuke and Menma and said, although in this life, due to different circumstances and treatment, Naruto is not as crazy obsessed with Haruno Sakura as in the original work, and his relationship with Hinata is n times stronger than in the original work. Same experiences in childhood, different results. And the most important thing is that Naruto is the son of the 4th generation, and the Hyuga family has no reason to refuse and oppose Hinata and Naruto's relationship. Therefore, the relationship between the two is not close. It's just that Naruto's nature is here, which makes him still have a good impression of Haruno Sakura. That's not fair. Iruka-sensei, why are Menma-kun, Sasuke-kun, and Naruto-kun in the same team? I can't accept it. Teacher, this is unscientific. There are still 4 people in a team. Teacher, please say something. After a brief stagnation. Thanks to Iruka's gentle personality, the students below were also in an uproar. They might not care about 4 people in a team, but what they couldn't accept was that the 3 best people in the class were in a team. Menma and Sasuke are the fixed top 2. Although Naruto was a little hindered by his theoretical results, he was still firmly in the top 5, with such a team configuration. Only those who can accept it will have ghosts. Unless they were replaced in this team, that would be okay. And the more they thought about this, the more resentment they felt towards Haruno Sakura. The little body of this pink pepper has already begun to tremble. Ahem, be quiet, be quiet. Iruka coughed a few times, patted the podium lightly, and then continued. The divisions between Menma, Naruto, and Sasuke were arranged by the Hokage himself. You little guys, please stop arguing. Hey, did the Hokage personally arrange it? Isn't it? That seems understandable. After all, it's Sasuke-kun, Menma-kun, and Master Naruto. I still can't accept it. Then why can Haruno Sakura go in? I can't understand. Unexpected, but also seems to be reasonable. Menma gradually calmed down after the initial shock. Should we lament the strong inertia of the original plot? Or is that the 3rd Hokage really able to arrange it? However, this is indeed a more reasonable allocation. After all, I have said before that if we must choose a younger generation Junin who is most suitable to lead the 3 of them in today's Konoha hidden village, it is definitely not Hatake Kakashi. None other than. Everyone else will have different problems or shortcomings. Only Kakashi is the most suitable, or should be said to be the only suitable candidate. Is this actually the arrangement? But it doesn't matter. Single quote. Menma sighed inwardly, and then nodded gently to Naruto with a peaceful expression on his face, and also glanced back at Sasuke, who had also shifted his gaze at the same time. However, after noticing Menma's gaze, this second pillar also snorted, turned back, and faced Menma with the back of his head. This made Menma couldn't help but feel a little funny. The second pillar is also born with the attribute of Tsunere. No matter how the little guys below howl, the result of the 4-member team of Class 7 is also a foregone conclusion. Iruka also had a stern face for once, and used the teacher's majesty to suppress his students, otherwise it would have been super noisy. Iruka had a deep understanding of the past. Class 8, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame. Class 9, Class 10, Shikamaru Nara, Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akamichi. Then after Class 7, there was no more unexpected class division information. Except for Menma, who seemed to be a random intruder, everything was no different from the original book. The above is your class division. Everyone's name has been called. Next, you will wait here for your instructor to arrive. Finally, I wish all students good luck in martial arts. After saying this, Iruka took a deep look at the dozens of students he had taught for 6 years, including Menma, and turned around and strode out of this large tiered classroom. Not long after Iruka left. Then, some ninjas wearing Konoha uniforms came in one after another, calling out the classes they led one by one. Class 1, follow me. Class 3, Class 11, Class 5. The graduates of the teams that were called stood up one by one and followed their instructors out of the classroom. The number of people decreased rapidly. In the end, when the bearded Asuma and the young Kurenai Yuhi came together and took away the 8th and 10th classes. In such a large classroom, only 4 people were left: Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. All the companions left. The classroom became relaxed. This also made Haruno Sakura finally feel relieved. You know, the gazes of those classmates just now could really kill people. Now, seeing that there were only 4 people in her team left in the classroom, Haruno Sakura's nervousness disappeared. Her heart was full of joy. Unlike the original work, where she only had one time of happiness and it was discounted because of Naruto's joining, in this life, Haruno Sakura felt that she felt 3 times the happiness. Handsome and handsome Sasuke-kun. Noble Naruto-kun. Excellent Menma-kun. Ah, this is just too happy, okay. Haruno Sakura suddenly felt that the air around her became sweet. This girl really felt that her luck was extremely invincible. Haruno Sakura felt extremely happy. Naruto on the side also thought that this division of classes was very good, but not because of Haruno Sakura, but because he could be in the same team with Menma and Sasuke. The Naruto in this life is not the Naruto in the original book. Nizuzi also had similar ideas to Naruto, but he would not show it on his face. As for Menma, to be honest, such a division of classes was indeed a bit beyond his expectations. But it seemed reasonable. The only curious point was Haruno Sakura. After all, from the original book, there was actually no reason for this person to join the 7th team. The only reliable reason that could be guessed was that in the original book, Haruno Sakura was the object of Naruto's affection, so Sarutobi Hiruzen let Haruno Sakura join the 7th team in order to better appease Naruto's emotions. This is of course a sufficient reason, but it can only be regarded as a result of speculation. There is no real evidence in the original book to prove this. Let alone in this life. Menma has no contact with Haruno Sakura at all. The girl Naruto is most intimate with now is Hinata Hyuga. Nijiruko is definitely not interested in any girls. Menma really can't think of the reason why Haruno Sakura entered the 7th team. Is it just because they need a girl as a lubricant and choose her in the 7th team? Single quote. Such a nonsensical idea emerged in Menma's mind. Haha, I thought it would be best if I could be in the same team with you guys after the class division. I did ask the 3rd generation grandfather, but the 3rd generation grandfather never said anything. I didn't expect that the final result is really in the same team. In the future, I will ask for more guidance. Sasuke, Menma, and Sakura. The identity has changed, the situation has changed, and the treatment has changed. But Naruto's cheerful and familiar attributes have not changed at all. This also makes Menma feel that although he has inherited all the attributes of Naruto in the original work, there is only one thing that is likely not inherited. That is the reincarnation chakra of Ashura. After all, no matter how you look at it, the brother standing in front of him now, Naruto Namikaze, is still the same as in the original book and is in line with the character of Ashura. Of course, there is no way to verify this at present. And it only flashed through Menma's brain for a moment and he didn't care. Whether Ashura is Ashura or not has nothing to do with him now. Well, we should teach each other more. Menma smiled lightly and nodded gently. Humph. Nizuzi responded with a snort as usual. I should ask you 3 for your guidance. Haruno Sakura nodded quickly like a chicken pecking at rice, still with a hint of uncontrollable excitement, looking at Sasuke, Naruto, and Menma with shining eyes. It really feels like a dream. No, to be precise, fear is just dreaming. Waking up and returning to reality directly is the most terrifying thing. Therefore, the 12-year-old Haruno Sakura pinched her thigh subconsciously. The pain directly transmitted to the brain nerves made her gasp for air. Only then did she truly believe everything in front of her. Haha, I don't know who our team leader will be. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it will be a very powerful ninja. Naruto clenched his right fist and waved it slightly, also speaking in a very expectant tone. Naruto-kun, you don't know. Didn't the third generation tell you? Haruno Sakura asked with a little surprise. In Haruno Sakura's opinion, Naruto is the son of the fourth generation. The village should definitely arrange a very powerful ninja to lead the team, and they must know it in advance, right? I asked the third grandfather, but he didn't tell me, just like the class division information, humph, he kept it a secret, and I'll strip that old man naked, cough cough, the third grandfather's beard. Naruto said with a little resentment. Leading teacher. This is a question that any graduate cares about and cannot get around, and the same is true for the silent Nijira. He hopes more than anyone else that his leading teacher will be the top jonin in the village, only in this way can he guide him better. After all, the one he wanted to avenge was a super genius who graduated from the ninja school at the age of 7, joined the Anbu before the age of 11, and later destroyed the Uchiha clan with his own strength. S-level rebel ninja. I hope it won't be a mediocre person. Single quote. The second pillar thought silently in his heart. Menma was more direct. They all knew the answer in advance, so would they still care? What did you say? The plot is different, and the leader will also be different. Then Menma wants to see who in the entire Konohagakure village is more suitable than Hatake Kakashi. Don't forget, Kakashi led Team 7. Ability and identity are one aspect, and the most important point is that Sarutobi Hiruzen trusts Hatake Kakashi. Therefore, Menma is 100% sure that the leader of their Team 7 in this life is still Hatake Kakashi. And if I remember correctly, this famous Mr. 55 has arrived in advance, and now he is hiding in a corner and observing them secretly. This is the most common way for ninjas to gather intelligence. It will take at least 1 or 2 hours. Single quote. Menma slowly closed his eyes and planned to take a nap. Time passed by little. It had been nearly 2 hours since the last group of students, namely Shikamaru and his Team 10 and 8, left. Their Team 7 instructor had not even shown up yet. Not to mention Haruno Sakura and Naruto. Both pillars showed an expression of impatience. Among the 4 people, only Menma was still sitting on the fishing platform, with a calm face. Why hasn't our teacher come yet? Did he forget what happened today? Haruno Sakura, who was already roaring wildly in her heart, had to pretend to be a good girl on the surface, and said with a very forced smile. Have you forgotten? Hey, this is indeed very possible. If this is the case, then I must ask the third generation grandfather to change us to a more reliable teacher. What do you think? Face. Numb. Naruto, who was in the front seat, was stunned for a moment and then said frankly. Sasuke's face on the left could almost freeze. This posture looks like, if you continue to wait, maybe the 2 pillars will go crazy. Only Menma remained calm and replied casually, maybe there is something delayed. There is nothing on the left and right. It doesn't matter if you wait. After all, ninjas are prone to unexpected accidents. Oh, this does make some sense. As expected, Naruto was still the Ikisuji type, and he nodded in agreement and replied, not even thinking that this was Menma's perfunctory answer. Then, just when Naruto was about to say something, squeak, there was a sound of opening the door from the classroom door. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. Oh, the next second, a figure of a man wearing Konoha's standard vest and with silver white hair came into view of Menma, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. This familiar look and atmosphere. The person who came was none other than Kakashi Hatake, who had a distinguished reputation. Well, you are the members of Team 7, right? I am your captain. Well, first of all, my first impression of you is pretty good. Let's go, get out of here first. We also need to get to know each other. Kakashi's eyes glanced over the 4 people below one by one, and he spoke softly with a touch of laziness. After saying that, without waiting for the 4 people to respond, they just walked out of the classroom. Menma seemed to be prepared in advance, but also seemed to be a conditioned reflex. The moment Kakashi turned around and took steps, Menma stood up simultaneously and followed Kakashi. Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, who were left behind, were all stunned for a moment subconsciously. Immediately they all came back to their senses immediately. Following the footsteps together, the group of 5 people left the classroom on the bottom floor, went up the stairs, and went straight to the highest roof. Kakashi leaned against the railing with his hands folded in front of him. He still looked at Menma, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, who came in front of him with a faint look, and then finally revealed a faint smile. Let me introduce myself first. We will most likely be performing missions together in the same team for several years, and we need to get to know each other. What do you mean it's very possible? They are obviously the same team. Is this teacher good or not? Single quote. Sakura, who had been a little bit unable to hold back from the beginning, finally couldn't help but complained crazily in her heart at this moment, and the way she looked in Kakashi's direction seemed a little strange. She now really seriously doubted Kakashi's reliability. However, Sakura, who has to maintain her image as a good girl on the surface, cannot let her character collapse. Why do you need to introduce yourself? Brother Kakashi, I think you are the one who needs to be introduced the most, and you seem to need to explain the reason for being late, right? Otherwise, I will go to the 3rd generation grandpa to file a complaint. Said you were delaying business. When Sakura was about to say something first, Naruto in the middle position put his hands on his hips and looked at Kakashi in the upper position with an angry expression and shouted loudly. Naruto-kun, do you know this teacher? Sakura asked blankly. The 2 pillars also subconsciously glanced at Naruto. I really didn't expect that Naruto would actually know the captain of their team. Menma thought it was normal. Naruto in this time and space acted openly in the Hidden Leaf Village under the title of Son of the 4th Hokage. He wanted to be criticized by all the people of Konoha and the vast majority of ninjas. The honorific title is Master Naruto. All treatments are exactly the same as Sarutobi Hiruzen's direct grandson, Sarutobi Konohamaru. Kakashi is a direct subordinate of the 4th Hokage. He may not dare to contact and visit Menma, but there is no problem in contacting Naruto. As long as Naruto knows a little about his father's past and knows that people like Kakashi and Shiranui Genma belong to normal things. Of course, Brother Kakashi is the subordinate that my father led. I must know him. It's okay if the 3rd generation grandpa didn't tell me. Brother Kakashi, you didn't tell me in advance. It's a shame that I'm still thinking about it. Who will lead the team? Naruto first looked at Sakura with a matter-of-fact expression, nodded and replied, then turned his attention to Kakashi and said with a slightly sad expression. Haha, this is also the 3rd generation's order. Let me not tell you in advance. Well, just like what Naruto said, my name is Hatake Kakashi. I am a Junin in the village. There is nothing I like in particular. If there is anything I hate, it is someone who ignores ninja rules. If you want to stay in my team, you must keep this in mind. Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly and said with a slightly cold tone. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. This faint hint of coldness made Naruto, let alone Haruno Sakura, shrink his neck subconsciously. I understand, Brother Kakashi. Naruto curled his lips and said. Okay, now it's your turn to introduce yourselves. Oh, Naruto, you want it too. Kakashi clapped his hands lightly, then said with a smile. Oh, Naruto was stunned for a moment. Then he nodded heavily. He said directly, my name is Namikaze Naruto. My favorite thing is Ichiraku ramen. I don't like anything I hate. I don't have it yet. My dream is to become the greatest ninja surpassing all previous Hokages. As he spoke, he also raised his forehead protector, his face full of excitement and determination. Listening to Naruto's words, the smile in Kakashi's pupils grew stronger. Next, Kakashi's gaze shifted directly to Menma. Menma also smiled lightly and said, my name is Uzumaki Menma. There is nothing I particularly like or dislike. My future dream is to have everyone recognize me. This really has no false meaning at all. This was indeed Menma's dream. However, this so-called recognition may not belong to the recognition in the general cognitive category. After all, what Menma advocates most is to convince people with reason. Oh, this reason is the reason of physics. This is what Menma feels is the most reasonable and correct approach in this world. Morality, justice. In this world, these are the ultimate luxury items. Everyone's approval. Sure enough, this child has inherited your will, Minato-sensei. Listening to Menma's words, Kakashi, who had no idea what Menma was really thinking, felt very relieved. To be honest, Kakashi still felt guilty about Menma. After all, they were all Minato-sensei's children, but the treatment they received was completely different. If you say that in the past 12 years, Kakashi has never thought of taking care of or visiting Menma, that's not entirely true. Kakashi still has a little bit of conscience, but unfortunately, it's not much, it's really just a pitiful little bit. The setting of Hatake Kakashi is actually very complicated, and his life experience is indeed ups and downs. Perhaps Kakashi himself has never seen himself clearly. In his previous life, Menma initially looked at Kakashi through the lens of the protagonist group, so he saw only his strengths. Later, he gradually came to his senses. Now, after experiencing these 12 years, Menma no longer has any good feelings towards Kakashi. Of course, there is not much bad feelings either. Because to be honest, Kakashi does not seem to have any obligation to take care of him. He is just a subordinate of the 4th Hokage. Is there any reason to take care of him? Can't he protect himself? Therefore, Menma's perception of Kakashi is that of an ordinary person. He will not pay too much attention to Kakashi, and if Kakashi wants to stop him in the future, Menma will not hesitate to raise his butcher knife. Facing an ordinary person, there is no need for any emotion or hesitation at all. Menma looked at Kakashi calmly. Well, next one. Kakashi nodded slightly, and then his eyes moved to Haruno Sakura. The moment he saw Kakashi's sight, Sakura Haruno suddenly shook herself up and said with great energy, "My name is Sakura Haruno. My dream in the future is to become a ninja like Tsunade-sama. The things I like, that, this. Rather than saying things, that, it's better to say, people I like, that." Ah. When she said that, she pretended to be shy and looked at Sasuke half-covered. Menma didn't know how other people felt. At this moment, he really had goosebumps all over his body. In his previous life, he felt an indescribable nausea when reading the original work through the electronic screen. Now it's directly next to him. The nausea is doubled, right? Really, no wonder it is said that Sakura Haruno had no popularity at all in the early part of the original story. With this kind of virtue, and that personality, plus the excessive performance and words later, it would be strange if anyone had a good impression of Sakura Haruno in the early stage. Sakura Haruno began to change her reputation, but that had to be the story after Shippuden. From that time on, especially as it went on, there was indeed a bit of Kushina's feeling in it. Now, just 2 words. Disgusting. Menma was already struggling to control his facial expression, but the corners of his mouth couldn't help but twitch slightly. Do girls nowadays value feelings more than others? Ah. Single quote. Kakashi couldn't help but secretly shook his head in his heart, and directly interrupted Sakura's further self-directed and self-acted. What about the annoying thing? Ino. Menma is not the Naruto in the original book. The Naruto in this life is the son of the 4th generation Hokage with a noble status. Then, the most annoying person that Haruno Sakura can choose at present must be Yamanaka Ino, who is her rival. And she blurted it out without thinking. It can only be said that it is really pure plastic sisterhood. Kakashi's pupils also flashed a look of, as expected. Well, then, the last one. Kakashi nodded, his eyes swept across and fixed on Sasuke. The second pillar also had a calm expression. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I don't have anything I particularly like or dislike. My dream is to revive the Uchiha clan and to kill that man. And it was at the moment of saying the last sentence. The aura of the second pillar also became increasingly cold. It also made Kakashi frown slightly. Uchiha Itachi. Menma on the other side also subconsciously glanced at Sasuke's profile, and the name and appearance of the young man who was only 5 or 6 years older than them emerged in his mind. This is a real ruthless person. Killing his father and mother, is this something that ordinary people can do? In Menma's opinion, Uchiha Itachi's terrifying attributes are definitely one of the best in this world. This is definitely not a normal person. Well, this is our initial acquaintance. I am a casual person, so you don't need to be too restrained. However, before we officially carry out the mission, I still need to conduct a small test mission on you. Test? Yes, it is a test. The time is set at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and the location is at the second training ground. Remember, don't be late. I am indeed a casual person, but I hate people who are late. Kakashi said with a smile to Menma, Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura. You are the one who is late every day, and you dare to say this, brother Kakashi. You will not fool us to arrive at the scene at 5 o'clock tomorrow, and then be late for a few hours yourself. Unlike the original work, Kakashi can easily fool the 3 members of Team 7 in the first time. In this time and space. Not to mention Menma, the time traveler. Naruto is the son of the 4th generation. He was familiar with Kakashi's habits many years ago. Therefore, at this moment, he ruthlessly exposed Kakashi on the spot. Looking at Naruto's very resentful look and Sakura's obvious suspicious expression, Kakashi didn't look embarrassed at all. He said calmly, "These are 2 different things, Naruto. Tomorrow, I will definitely not be late. After all, this is likely to be both your first and last mission. And, Naruto, you have to call me Kakashi teacher. That obviously has a bit of bad intentions." Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura were all shocked. Menma also raised his eyebrows. "Ah, the last mission. Teacher Kakashi, why do you say that?" Haruno Sakura looked at Kakashi with a hint of uneasiness. "Hehe, you will know tomorrow. So, let's stop here today. By the way, I will give you a last piece of advice. Don't eat breakfast, otherwise, you will regret it." Kakashi smiled lightly. Puff. Then, without waiting for the 4 people to react, he made a seal with both hands. His figure turned into a ball of white mist and disappeared. After seeing Kakashi disappear without saying a word of explanation, the other 3 were fine, but Sakura was so Spartan. How could they do this? What is the last mission? Teacher Kakashi, you need to explain it clearly before you leave. Sakura felt an indescribable depression in her heart, and even a little bit of collapse. She really didn't expect that her guiding ninja would be such an unreliable person. Is there really no problem with the future of their Team 7? Will it really be bleak? Brother Kakashi, this guy. Naruto also felt a bit gnashing his teeth. However, he had long been accustomed to Kakashi's personality. It would be harder than climbing to the sky to make him serious. So, the question now is whether he should go to the second training ground at 5 o'clock tomorrow. According to Naruto's own understanding of Kakashi, this guy is definitely late for several hours in most things. Of course, important matters such as missions and Hokage summons will not be vague, from this point of view. Tomorrow should be fine, right? Naruto muttered. Naruto-kun, what did you say just now? Haruno Sakura turned her head and looked at Naruto with a puzzled look. What I mean is, Kakashi is a habitual latecomer, just like today. I wonder if Kakashi will deliberately make us wait for a long time in the same place for tomorrow's meeting. Naruto said with a tangled look on his face. Really? Sakura heard Naruto's words and her eyes widened instantly. Sasuke, who had already stood up, frowned at the same time. But no matter what, we have to gather at 5 o'clock, right? After all, this is the order of the boss. Don't forget that we are no longer students in the ninja school, but formal ninjas. Menma said with a calm look on the side. Menma is too familiar with this part of the original story. Kakashi was not late at all these 2 times. He arrived early and had been hiding on the side to observe secretly. This was Kakashi's first real test of Team 7. So, whether it is late or not, Menma will not consider this aspect. But for breakfast, there is no need to listen to Kakashi. Eat when you should, drink when you should, and don't let yourself down. And it was when Menma heard what he said. Sasuke and Naruto were startled at first, and then they nodded slowly. Only Sakura was still a little slow, and it should be said that she didn't react completely. She nodded in agreement as if she understood it. Well, tomorrow is also very important after all, and brother Kakashi should not be late. Naruto said with a smile. Hey, this time is quite appropriate, how about it? How about the 4 of us go out for dinner together? It's considered to be a celebration of the establishment of our Team 7. Then his eyes obviously shifted to Sasuke and Menma, and he continued to ask. Haruno Sakura on the side obviously brightened up, and also looked at Menma and Sasuke with hope, especially the latter. No, I won't go, I have other things to do. Sasuke had a calm face and shook his head decisively to refuse. Swoosh. Then, he also jumped directly from the roof, along the other eaves, and quickly left. Well, there will be plenty of time in the future. Let's stay here today. I'm also rude, Naruto, Sakura. Menma also smiled and shook his head to refuse, and after a slight bow. Then he shook his body, without giving Naruto a chance to say a second word, and left the original place and returned to his own position. Hey, looking at Menma and Sasuke who disappeared in an instant. Naruto put his hands on his hips and showed a helpless look, but this scene was not the first time. Didn't Menma and Sasuke not come to the last graduation dinner? Too unsociable, these two guys, there will be plenty of time in the future, really. Naruto said angrily. Then there is no way, Sakura, if they don't go, it will seem a bit weird if we go, so let's wait for the next time, Sakura. Naruto turned his head and looked at Haruno Sakura and said. Well, I can do it. Although Sakura felt very sorry and had already yelled in frustration in her heart, she still tried to put on a very ladylike expression on the surface and nodded and replied. See you tomorrow. Naruto smiled and waved to Sakura. Swoosh. She also flashed and flew down from the roof, heading in a different direction from the two of them. Looking at the back of Naruto leaving, Haruno Sakura's face instantly fell. This should be a very happy and blissful day. But why do I feel so empty now? No, Haruno Sakura, you must cheer up, this is only the first day, you are a capable child. Yes, you must cheer up. Single quote. Sakura patted her cheeks with both hands to encourage herself. Finally, after taking a deep look at the direction where Sasuke, Naruto, and Menma were leaving, Haruno Sakura took a deep breath, clenched her fists and waved them twice, and then turned around and left the ninja school. This is still a calm plot development. At present, it is hard to say whether it is good or bad, but for Menma, no accidents are the best thing. The next step is to enter the real countdown. Single quote. Menma thought silently in his heart. The next day, at 4:20 in the morning, Menma got up from his bed on time, and after a simple wash and breakfast, he set off for the second training ground. When Menma arrived, there were still a few minutes before the agreed time, but Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura had already arrived at the second training ground one step earlier than Menma. Sasuke's appearance could not be seen, but Naruto and Sakura were obviously a little depressed. Oh, Menma, good morning. But when he saw Menma, Naruto still gathered his energy and greeted them at the top of his voice. Well, good morning, Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke. Menma smiled faintly and greeted softly. Good morning, Menma-kun. Sakura also seemed to wake up from her drowsy state immediately, gently lifted her hair and replied. Sasuke, who was leaning against the tree trunk, nodded lightly with an indifferent look as a response. After simple greetings, Menma just found a seat and sat down, just closing his eyes and concentrating. If there was no deviation from the original plot, they would have to wait at least 5 or 6 hours. Kakashi seemed to be around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. The dot appears. Before that, it is only right to recharge your batteries. After Naruto saw Menma's attitude, he shrugged helplessly and immediately gave up his intention to chat with Menma. Originally, Naruto thought that since they were all in the same team, they would be able to get along better. However, he didn't expect that both Menma and Sasuke would remain the same. Sakura also looked like she wanted to speak, but didn't dare, and her little hands were twisted together. It has a completely different atmosphere from the original Team 7. And as the 4 people waited silently, time slowly passed by, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. The sun is always hanging high in the sky. Arrived after 8 o'clock. There was still no sign of Kakashi. Veins suddenly bulged on Naruto's forehead. Ah, brother Kakashi is such a fool. You know you can't trust him. He is indeed late again. It's already past 8 o'clock. Naruto said angrily. Could there be some emergency on the road? Sakura, who was sitting nearby, weakly said words that even she didn't believe. Under her seemingly quiet appearance, she was already roaring violently in her heart. Anyone has to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and rush to the training ground before 5 o'clock. The person who is waiting still misses the appointment, and the missed appointment lasts for 3 or 4 hours, and there is still no one. It would be strange if this mentality does not explode. Sasuke's expression also darkened visibly. It's still March. It was still early in the morning without breakfast. No matter how good-natured a person is, he will probably become twisted. Only Menma still sits firmly on the mountain. This is not only the blessing of the original plot, but also because as early as when he arrived, Menma used his huge perception ability to detect Kakashi's location in advance. Kakashi must have felt that for little it is impossible for the guy to discover his location. He chose the simplest concealment method so carelessly and hid on one side to observe them, but unfortunately he couldn't hide it from Menma, who had Kagura's inner eye. It should be said that in today's ninja world, there are indeed many people who can defeat Menma, but if you want to escape the existence and methods that Menma perceives, there are very few. The heart of Kagura of the Uzumaki clan. But it's a super buggy sensing method. TCH, how could there be something urgent? I'm just late. No, I will go back and file a complaint with the third-generation grandpa. Brother Kakashi is really outrageous, Naruto said with an angry look on his face. The main reason is that this is not the first time that Naruto has been deceived by his elder brother Kakashi. He even made an appointment to eat ramen before, but in the end he let him go. Naruto's anger level is now very good. This also made Kakashi, who was hiding not far away, couldn't help but shake his head slightly. Naruto is still immature, Sakura, well, not very good either, Sasuke is okay, and Menma seems to be the most stable one. Single quote. Kakashi was observing the four people and thinking silently in his heart. Different from some indifferent lateness in the past. The 2 times Kakashi was late on purpose were all to observe his 4 subordinates secretly, which was completely different from the past. Haruno Sakura doesn't have to worry about this addition. But Kakashi must treat the other 3 people seriously. In order to better guide and educate these people in his team, Kakashi naturally needs to master more information and materials, and understand these people in all aspects. And this is also a small investigation of 4 people. What is a ninja? Only those who have patience can be called a qualified ninja, because various emergencies are easy to occur during missions, which is a great test of a ninja's character and strength. These conditions are often easy. Determine the success or failure of the mission, and even the life of the ninja himself. Now let's see. Naruto and Sakura are still a bit confused. I haven't really positioned myself correctly, and I haven't really understood what it means to be a ninja. This aspect still needs to be strengthened. Single quote. Kakashi was thinking about his next teaching arrangements in his mind. I still have no plans to go out at the moment. It is still very useful to test the patience of these little guys, and Kakashi really wants to see if Sasuke and Menma will also have psychological fluctuations if they wait any longer. Especially the latter. Menma is the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Mentality issues need to be treated with more emphasis. Jinchuriki whose mentality is prone to fluctuations are the most likely to lose control. This is also the special explanation given by the third Hokage to Kakashi. Be sure to pay attention to Menma's mentality. Time passed by bit again. By the time it reached 10 o'clock, Menma and Naruto had already been waiting for 5 hours. When they saw Menma, he still looked calm, and there were no ups and downs afterwards. Kakashi nodded secretly. Whoosh, his body straightened up. Good morning, everyone. With a smile on his face, he appeared directly in front of Menma and Sasuke. Ah, good morning, brother Kakashi, don't you look at what time it is now? It's almost 11 o'clock. You are more than 5 hours late. The moment Naruto saw Kakashi, he immediately showed his teeth and claws. Haha, I'm sorry, Naruto, when I went out this morning, a black cat blocked my way. I had to wait until it passed before I could set off, so I was late. Kakashi explained with a smile. Brother Kakashi, if you say this yourself, do you believe it? Naruto looked at Kakashi with an expression of ultimate resentment and said. Sakura, who was sitting next to her, looked at Kakashi with an awkward expression that said, you dare to be angry but dare not speak out. At this moment, Kakashi really labeled Haruno Sakura as completely unreliable. Ahaha, okay, let's get straight to the point. As I said yesterday, today's test mission may be the last mission you perform, because if you fail, you will have to go back to ninja school. Just study here. Kakashi laughed, then straightened his face and directly introduced himself to the topic. As expected, he heard what Kakashi said next. Especially when I heard that I might have to go back to ninja school to study. The expressions of Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Menma, who was also cooperating with the performance, all changed. What? Go back to ninja school? Kakashi-sensei, are you kidding me? Naruto and Sakura just widened their eyes. At this moment, Sakura has become a model who doesn't care whether she is a lady or not. If she is thrown back to the ninja school and remade, it will be a disaster. What a big disaster. That must make many relatives and friends laugh to death. This is something Sakura absolutely cannot accept. The same goes for Naruto. Sasuke also had a cold look on his face, staring intently at Kakashi. He didn't even want to go back to ninja school and waste time. He is very far away from that man, and every minute and second that follows is precious. Is it coming? Battle for the bell. Single quote. Menma also stood up, with a serious look on his face. Haha, are you kidding? Do you think I would joke about this? This is an established rule. Don't think that you can be called a ninja after passing the graduation examination of the ninja school. Each one is assigned to a different team. The graduates here need to take a second assessment. Only after they pass can they truly graduate. If they fail, then I'm sorry, I have to go back and study again. By the way, the passing rate for this assessment is only 3%. 10. I won't show mercy. Kakashi's face was stern, and he deliberately said this with a very cold expression. The purpose is to put psychological pressure on Naruto, Menma, Sakura, and Sasuke in front of them. As expected, after Kakashi's words fell, the expressions of the four people were visibly tense. However, among these four people, Menma's expression is almost all fake. After all, others don't know. Doesn't Menma know that there is a high possibility that the other teams will be sent back to the ninja school to relearn, but the probability of Class 7 going back cannot be said to be completely zero, but it is infinitely close to impossible. The main reason is that the composition of Class 7 is very complicated. In particular, Uzumaki Menma, as the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, is the main support point of the village's great strength. Considering the interests of the entire ninja village, the third Hokage must cultivate Menma as soon as possible. Only in this way can it be possible. Fight to protect Konoha in critical moments. So Kakashi's words were completely terrorizing the four of them in Team 7. Of course, mental clarity is one thing. On the surface, Menma still needs to be more involved in the drama. Otherwise, you won't be a gregarious person. HMPH, can't it just pass it? Just tell me, brother Kakashi, what is the task of the test? I won't lose to others. Naruto quickly adjusted his mentality, patted his chest vigorously, and said vigorously. Sasuke also showed an unprecedented serious look. Menma still looked calm. Only Sakura was really worried. She was really worried that she would fail the exam and be sent back to the ninja school. Haha, it is best to be confident. The task of the test is very simple. It is a special survival exercise. No, that's it. You have to snatch these bells from me before 12 o'clock, no matter what the method is. As long as you win the bell, you will pass the test, but if the time is up and you have not won the bell, then you can go back to the ninja school to study. This proves that you are not qualified to be a ninja at all. Quote. Kakashi first took out a clock from his arms and put it aside, then took out 3 bells and pinned them on his waist, and said in a very serious tone. Remember, if you don't snatch it with the intention of killing me, you won't succeed. But, Kakashi-sensei, you don't seem to have enough bells, right? There are only 3. Sakura, who was most concerned about this assessment, also directly noticed the 3 bells on Kakashi's waist, raised her hand and said weakly. Haha, yes, there are 3. Only at most 3 of the 4 of you can graduate successfully. What to do depends on the 4 of you. Kakashi smiled softly. To Sakura, this sounded like a demonic whisper. Sakura's heart instantly went cold. Let's not talk about the success rate first. Just 3 bells. No matter how you look at her, she is the weakest one in the team. There is absolutely no chance that it will be her turn to grab it, right? At this moment, Sakura seemed to be able to see her future. Naruto also stared and was about to say something. Okay, the assessment has officially begun. If you continue to waste time, you will all have to go back to the ninja school to study. Kakashi leaned forward slightly and spoke these threatening words. Immediately afterwards, he waved his right hand. Whoosh! 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 Menma, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura also subconsciously moved their bodies and dispersed outside the venue, hiding in the surrounding bushes. Survival drills. This has been one of the courses they have taken most frequently in the ninja school in the past few years, and the necessary procedures are simply too familiar. Team collaboration is easy to say, but it is still very difficult to do it. After all, this is a newly established team. Single quote. Menma was hiding in a position not far away, looking at Kakashi standing on the central lawn with a leisurely look on his face, thinking silently in his heart. However, it doesn't mean that they have to show a tacit cooperation. As long as they have that posture, it is enough. Kakashi can't really treat them as opponents. A pure Junin faces a genin. That is a one-sided massacre. Kakashi will definitely let go, as long as they really create the most perfect surprise attack based on their current strength. Kakashi will definitely let the four of them take away the bell. The key to the problem is how to form an effective attack, but it would be good for someone to try the water first. Single quote. Looking at Naruto, who was almost exactly the same as in the original work, not hiding at all, just standing face to face with Kakashi, Menma's pupils also showed a faint light. Let me tell you, Naruto, I just said it, this is a survival exercise, right? Kakashi looked at Naruto somewhat helplessly and said, hey, it's said to be a survival exercise, but in essence it's just about grabbing the bell. Brother Kakashi has fooled you in every previous sparring session. This time, I must defeat you in an upright manner. Let's see how it goes, Kakashi. Brother Shi. Naruto chuckled. Boom. Then he slumped down. Call out. Call out. Call out. Accompanied by the figure that flew out. He also quickly threw out more than 10 shurikens in his hand. Taking on a semi-enveloping stance, they stormed towards Kakashi's location. A fair fight. This is a way that fits Naruto's personality. Although it seems that there is no difference in the behavior in the original book, the reason is very different. Naruto's personality is indeed very straightforward, but it does not mean that he is a fool. Many times, he just doesn't want to use his brain, not that he can't think of it. This proactive frontal attack is Naruto's answer. It's a little faster than before. Looking at Naruto, who flashed to the near point, Kakashi's pupils also revealed a trace of light relief. Although he didn't take out his secret treasure to taste it carefully like in the original book, Naruto's attack at this moment was still not too threatening in Kakashi's eyes. Swish, a light left step, and then a sideways evasive action. After quickly dodging the shurikens that came to attack, Kakashi also kicked Naruto in the face with a heavy kick. The extremely fast attack made Naruto's eyes fixed and he subconsciously took a blocking posture. Bang! With a loud bang, accompanied by the dust that burst out. Feeling the violent impact transmitted from his arms, Naruto's face changed, and his body could not help but bounce back. Kakashi kicked his feet, just when he wanted to force him to get close and attack him to the end. On the left and right sides, swoosh, Sasuke and Menma's figures flashed out. The pincer attack was formed. Shua, Shua. In a flash, they arrived at Kakashi's close area. Kakashi's face did not change, as if he had anticipated the attack of the two people long ago. He stepped in the air and turned diagonally behind him, easily pulling out the pincer attack space of the two people. The cross that missed directly. Menma and Sasuke seemed to have foreseen this. Swoosh, swoosh. Each of them turned their bodies. They pressed forward from the side. Swish. They took out a kunai from their arms. They aimed directly at Kakashi's vital points and stabbed him fiercely. This was definitely a killing gesture. Kakashi couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. With his hands crossed, he pushed and squeezed. The kunai appeared quickly. Kang, Kang. They casually blocked the attack from Menma and Sasuke. The sparks that exploded and the aftershocks of the vibrations that were stirred up, the expressions of Menma and Sasuke changed accordingly. This kind of complete suppression of power could not be made up by so-called skills at all. The most important thing was that this was just a casual attack from Kakashi. The gap between them was really terrifying. Without using the Nine Tails chakra, I still can't fight these senior elite Jonins. Single quote. There's no need for a deep or strong collision. Just a light parry. Menma can see his current limit clearly. This is a natural result. No actual combat experience. In the past 12 years, he has either been practicing alone without guidance or receiving the most basic education in the ninja school. Rapid progress. That's absolutely impossible. Why can Kakashi be promoted to Jonin at the age of 12? That's because after graduating at the age of 5, he has been wandering on the most dangerous and bloody front line, and so is Uchiha Itachi. The more talented, the more he needs to experience such tempering. That's why Menma's sense of urgency has never relaxed, and he knows very well what he needs to face. Sasuke. A sharp look appeared between Menma's eyebrows. It's a strong attitude without any intention of retreating at all. At the same time, words shouted out loudly at the same time. Boom. The next second, another Sasuke appeared behind Kakashi on the left. Oh, this Sasuke was exactly the same. Sakura, who was still hiding in the bush, showed a hint of surprise, but Kakashi was calm. With his strength, he could already sense that someone was lurking around him. But, Shadow Clone plus Transformation Technique. This is already beyond the level of ordinary genin. Single quote. Menma pressed down from the front. Sasuke followed closely from the back. Kakashi's pupils also revealed a hint of admiration, and he nodded secretly in his heart. The rookies who just graduated from the ninja school can have such a tacit understanding in attack. It can definitely be regarded as above the excellent level. But, it's still too young and a little too impatient. Single quote. Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly. The chakra that was quickly mobilized. The next second, bang, when Menma and his shadow clones forcibly restrained Kakashi, and then in the back position. Squeak, squeak, squeak. When Sasuke's transparent steel wire was quickly thrown out and wrapped around Kakashi's body in an instant. Snap. Sasuke also immediately formed a seal. Fire style. Great fireball technique. According to the standards of a genin, it is already a super fast seal forming speed. The huge amount of chakra gathered. With Sasuke's vigorous spray, a huge ball of flame formed in the front, and then attacked Kakashi's position extremely quickly. Compared with the distance opened by Mana's retreat on the opposite side. In a distant location, Naruto, who had already adjusted his posture with the help of Menma and Sasuke's flanking attack, also formed the seal at the same time. Wind escape, the technique of great breakthrough. A huge amount of wind gathered together. In an instant. Covered in the blazing flames. Wind aids fire. The fire suddenly swelled. That ball of flame also swallowed up Kakashi's entire body. You actually killed Kakashi-sensei. The moment I saw this scene, the innocent little girl hidden in the corner, Haruno Sakura, had a look of shock on her face. She subconsciously ran out of the grass, with a hint of disbelief, and raised her voice to face Menma, Naruto, and Sasuke, and the three shouted loudly. This is completely child's play. When I saw and heard Sakura yelling, "Forget about Menma and Sasuke." Naruto's mouth twitched twice subconsciously. If such an attack could really kill Kakashi, then his eldest brother Kakashi would have died somewhere long ago. Not to mention, at this moment, even Naruto began to doubt how Sakura could graduate from the ninja school. Allah, you are still too careless, Sakura. As expected. The next second, Kakashi's figure had already appeared on the left side of Sakura. Those softly spoken words, while instantly scaring Sakura. Earth release, the art of beheading in the heart. Kakashi completed the seal instantly. A lurking figure. With a gentle pull, in Sakura's continuous screams. Pong, the sinking body. There was only a naked pink head left above the ground. Menma couldn't help but sigh inwardly. His original plan was to press Kakashi with this wave of attacks, showing their joint posture at the beginning, and then in the next attack, as long as he found the right opportunity for Sakura to hit him, it could barely be considered completed. Teamwork attacked. In this way, it can be regarded as meeting Kakashi's minimum requirements. Grabbing the bell is definitely the best result, but it must also be considered that even if Kakashi lets go, the current strength of the four of them may not really be enough. If they grab it, then showing tacit teamwork is the only way for them to complete the assessment. As long as Sakura doesn't come out to seek death, Kakashi would definitely not attack Sakura first. It's a pity that man's calculation is not as good as God's calculation. He is still a ninja without ninja consciousness. Single quote. Menma thought helplessly as he looked at Kakashi, who was already charging straight towards the three of them. Pong. Snapped. Boom. With only 1/10 of the strength, and perhaps even without the need, Kakashi can easily outplay the three Menma now. Not to mention that there is a huge gap between them in terms of experience and skills. Just a face-to-face meeting. Sasuke was easily knocked down by genjutsu. Then a simple wind escape technique. Pong. It blew Naruto away. Finally, he used taijutsu to subdue Menma neatly. In less than 10 minutes, Kakashi made Menma, Naruto, and Sasuke understand what an insurmountable gap in strength was. This was Kakashi's previous performance. I wanted to see more of the teamwork level of the three of them. Otherwise it will just end faster. It seems that you are still far behind. You can't even hold on for 10 minutes, let alone snatch the bell from my hand. Kakashi crossed his hands on his chest, looked at the four Menma sitting cross-legged on the ground, and said with an expression that seemed to hate the iron. No, this time doesn't count. Brother Kakashi, we were careless just now. If you give us another chance, we will definitely get the bell. Hear Kakashi's words. The most impatient Naruto jumped up quickly, put his hands on his hips and shouted loudly. If he was directly declared to have failed the assessment and then sent back to the ninja school to study again, where would his face be? This is completely unacceptable. Sakura looked even more nervous, and the two pillars also frowned slightly. Give me another chance. Naruto, what do you think a ninja is? Playing house. If you fail the mission, you have failed. Therefore, the four of you must return to the ninja school as promised before. Go study. Kakashi raised his eyebrows and looked at Naruto deliberately with a look of perseverance. This is a decisive look. Naruto's expression couldn't help but froze, and his eyes widened as if they turned into cats. But, considering that you guys performed really well just now, I can't give you another chance. But at the end of the words, Kakashi pretended to be bold and spoke these words. Really, brother Kakashi. It also immediately attracted the attention of Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke. Haha, of course, but I will only give this opportunity to 3 people. You can see how to distribute these 3 bells. Whoever has the bell will be qualified for the second test. The one without the bell, then just go back to ninja school and study. Kakashi smiled slightly, took the 3 bells from his waist, and flicked them gently, the moment Naruto subconsciously caught them. The words that were spoken intentionally. It also made the 3 people on the opposite side, except Menma, each show a look of astonishment. What, can't you allocate it? Or how about just using actual combat to solve it? My proposal is also very good, right? Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly, his tone seemed a bit aggressive. Both Naruto and Sasuke's expressions seemed to become a little unnatural at that moment. The 2 pillars were all staring at the bell in Naruto's hand, the right hand that wanted to reach out, but restrained itself. It is enough to explain Urzuzu's heart at this moment. Sakura, who was standing on the other side, was looking at the 3 bells in Naruto's hand, with endless hope and nervousness in her beautiful eyes. She really wants to graduate. I don't want to go back to the ninja school. Even if this is just a second testing opportunity. But, she didn't seem to have any strong reasons or qualifications to get a bell. At this moment, Sakura's heart was filled with despair. Not possible, but 100%, she will definitely go back to ninja school to study. After all, she really doesn't have the courage to ask for a bell. Which one of Menma, Naruto or Sasuke is not better than me? Naruto's lips also moved, as if he wanted to say something but couldn't. The atmosphere at the scene suddenly seemed as terrifying as deathly silence. This feels like a proposition. Several people remained silent for a long time. As Kakashi's expression seemed to become more and more expressive. Haha, it's a very simple question. Just give the bells to the 3 of them. I don't need this second chance to test, Kakashi-sensei. Menma, who was standing on one side, also smiled lightly and said softly. Oh, Menma, you, Menma-kun. These words sounded like thunder to Sakura, Naruto and others. A look of, sure enough, flashed through Kakashi's eyes. This boy's reaction is really fast. Single quote. Almost for a moment, Kakashi understood that Menma had 100% seen through his intentions and plans. But on the surface, Kakashi still pretended to be confused and asked, "Oh, are you sure, Menma? If you miss this opportunity, you will have to go back to the ninja school to study for at least another year. Waiting until next year's graduation to get another chance to graduate. Is this the fairest thing to do?" This seemed to be a deliberate glance at Sakura. Haruno Sakura's delicate body couldn't help but tremble. Sakura was filled with endless tangles and tension. Next moment, Sakura gritted her teeth and said, "Menma-kun, let me give the bell to the three of you. My grades are the worst among the four of us. According to the order of priority, there is no way it will be my turn, and it will still be your three. Let's take the test again, I'll wait until next year." This seemed to be words that required all the strength in one's body to be spoken. But also after saying it, the heavy feeling in Sakura's heart also disappeared out of thin air. She knew very well that there was no point in fighting for something that she couldn't fight for. Taking a step back here is the right thing to do. Don't forget, this is just to qualify for a second chance at the test. It doesn't mean that you can pass just by getting the bell. Sakura is not sure at all whether she can pass Kakashi's test. In this case, why bother asking for trouble? Sakura suddenly spoke. It also made Menma look surprised. He didn't expect that Sakura could be so courageous. Whether she could see clearly was one thing, but whether she could make a decisive decision was another. At least at this point, Menma was a little impressed with Sakura. A strange color flashed across Kakashi's pupils quickly. "That's okay. I'll give you the bell, Sakura. At worst, I can just ask the third-generation grandpa when the time comes. Anyway, I will definitely get another chance to graduate." Naruto heard Menma and Sakura's words one after another. He also waved his hand quickly, and while speaking, he quickly threw the bell in his hand to Menma, Sasuke, and Sakura. Then he patted his chest hard. It seems that he wants to use this method to prove the credibility of his words. "HMPH, I don't need this bell either. I'll graduate next year, just next year." After taking a deep breath, Sasuke threw the bell back into Naruto's hand. Although he really wanted to get a chance to take the second test, he was not willing to go back to the ninja school and waste another year, but his self-esteem did not allow him to accept the bell just like this. "What are you doing, Sasuke? I gave it to you out of kindness. I told you that I would definitely get the chance to graduate from my third-generation grandfather." Looking at the bell Sasuke threw back, Naruto instantly became anxious again. "Humph, I don't need such kindness." Sasuke folded his hands on his chest and said coldly. "What is a good-hearted concession? The pride of the Uchiha clan does not require such kindness." "Hey, this guy." Naruto raised his eyebrows and was about to continue saying something. Ba bang bang. "Very good. All four of you have passed the test." Opposite him, Kakashi suddenly clapped his hands. These words were spoken directly without any ambush. Among the people present, except for Menma, the other three were stunned for an instant. "Ah, quote question mark quote. He just stared at Kakashi in a daze. What does this mean? Brother Kakashi, why did it happen all of a sudden? This is a big ups and downs." There was no reaction at all. Naruto stared at Kakashi blankly. "Haha, the question you just asked is actually a test. I am very satisfied with your answer, so you passed the assessment. Menma must have noticed it from the beginning, right? My real intention in setting up this assessment is what?" Kakashi smiled slightly, then his eyes moved to Menma beside him, and said softly. Really, Menma?" Naruto asked looking at Menma in surprise. Sakura and Sasuke's eyes also fell on Menma at the same time. "It can't be said that it was at the beginning, and it's just a rough guess. Kakashi-sensei, you set this test to see if we have the awareness of teamwork, right?" Menma nodded slightly and replied calmly. "Teamwork. While Naruto on one side was mumbling to himself, Sasuke's eyebrows seemed to show a not-so-happy look. Sakura is naturally very direct, and she feels completely relaxed. Isn't this the most happy and fortunate thing to be able to pass the graduation examination? You must know that she is already prepared to be laughed at by her peers and family members, and to return to the ninja school to study again. Now it seems, There is another village where the willows are dark and the flowers are bright. Sakura must have plenty of reasons to be happy. Well, Menma is right, it is team assistance. In the world of ninjas, the assignment of tasks and the execution of orders are of course very important. But if you want to complete the above, tacit cooperation between a team is essential. The most important thing is that a person's power is limited after all. This is why ninjas must work in teams to receive and perform tasks. You have also graduated from ninja school. What I need you to understand is the team and companions. The importance of this is that no one can be separated from the collective. Kakashi looked at Menma, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura with a serious look on his face and said, "Is that so? I was really worried about not being able to graduate before. Ha ha ha, you told me earlier, brother Kakashi, you don't have to worry about teamwork. Our team definitely has it. You were right, Menma, Sasuke, Sakura." Naruto patted his chest with a smile and said happily. When Kakashi saw Naruto's attitude, he shook his head in a funny way. I don't know who just said that he wanted to find the third generation. Kakashi nodded at Naruto. Ahaha, isn't that just a casual comment? It's just a casual comment. Naruto touched the back of his head a little embarrassed and said with a smile. So, we can consider it a successful graduation, brother Kakashi. Naruto moved closer, looked up at Kakashi, and asked with twinkling eyes. Well, you are all qualified, Kakashi said with a smile. As mentioned before, among the students graduating this year, even if all others cannot graduate and have to return to the ninja school to study, 99.9% of the students in Team 7 where Menma is located must graduate successfully. Unless Kakashi really judges that Menma cannot normally participate in the life of a ninja now. But this is almost impossible. Because in the past 12 years, Menma has long been personally certified by the third Hokage. This is a new generation of the village's Nine-Tails Jinchuriki who is stable by nature, eager to be recognized, and worthy of cultivation and trust. Although his personality is a little cold, it is understandable. These can be cultivated and improved slowly. Therefore, Menma's graduation is a foregone conclusion. Not to mention that there are two people with equally special identities, Naruto and Sasuke, in the team. Even if these are put aside, the performance of Menma and others just now has indeed reached Kakashi's expectations. Allow the four to graduate and officially perform missions as a ninja. Yoshi, then our Team 7 is officially formed. So, as a celebration, brother Kakashi, do you want to express your gratitude? After Naruto cheered, he also approached and said with a smile while licking his face while looking at Kakashi. Well, we should celebrate. Today is also the first day that our Team 7 is officially formed. Teacher, I will treat you to a good meal, and then have a good rest for a day. We will go to receive the official mission tomorrow. Kakashi smiled and nodded. Oh, long live brother Kakashi. Naruto raised his hands high and cheered loudly. Menma, Sasuke, you won't refuse this time, right? Then he turned his head and looked at Menma and Sasuke on the side. Of course, no problem. Menma was also well prepared. When Naruto's eyes shifted to him, he nodded slightly and replied. Originally, for him, this was just a dispensable formality. You can participate or not. It's just a disguise that is needed occasionally. You can't really let Sarutobi Hiruzen think that he is a guy with an extremely withdrawn personality, right? That might make Sarutobi Hiruzen think that he is unstable and uncontrollable. HMPH. Nizuzi obviously has a similar attitude. This snort, without any shaking head or turning around to refuse, is a default attitude. Yoshi. Then let's go. We must have a big meal today. Naruto's face also showed an obvious excitement, and he raised his right hand and cheered loudly. The official formation of Team 7. Although it is a little different from the development in the original work, it seems that everything is still stubbornly moving forward along the route of the original plot, but in this life, different existences and different wills will inevitably bring different developments. It all depends on the decision of Menma and other parties involved. The first day of formal graduation passed like this. For Naruto and Sakura, this was an exciting day. For Menma, this was an ordinary day. After the celebration of losing the team, Menma went home and sorted out and reflected on the battle with Kakashi today. There is no doubt that in terms of pure personal strength, skills, and experience, Kakashi crushed them all in an all-round way. This also made Menma more deeply and clearly aware of his current level. The sense of urgency in his heart was further strengthened. This is a world where power is supreme. Which is more important, fists or truth? This is a question that does not need to be considered at all. Of course, truth must be said, but if you do not have the corresponding power, how can you promote your truth? Ashura, Hashirama Senju, and Naruto Uzumaki all relied on words to influence Indra, Uchiha Madara, and Uchiha Sasuke. Don't be funny. Those are all truths beaten out by fists, okay. Including Jiraiya, who seems to have the most gentle personality and is called a hero in the original work. What did he do after sneaking into the Hidden Rain village and discovering that Nagato and Konan were behind the Akatsuki organization? You will know the nature of this world more clearly. Perhaps for the ninja group, Jiraiya is indeed a so-called good man, but ninja itself is synonymous with strength. Without strength, that would be a big joke. Menma would not consider any unrealistic things, such as justice, mutual understanding and other naive words. Protect yourself. Defeat the enemy. Live happily. This is Menma's consistent and firm goal. For this, Menma is willing to make every effort to strive for it. Again, he is not the idealist Uzumaki Naruto in the original work, but an egoist Uzumaki Menma. Weakness and naivety are the biggest enemies of ninjas. After the establishment of Team 7, Kakashi led Menma, Naruto and the other four to officially start the mission from the second day. And the level and content of this mission. It is obviously similar to the original work. Even if Kakashi recognized the strength of Menma and the other four, he could not lead the four members of the team to perform high-level missions right away. This is not a question of danger or not, it is purely a matter of progress. With an elite Jonin like him, there is no need to worry about the so-called dangers of missions below A level. This is just a question of whether Kakashi is willing or not. Of course, there is also a point that Menma's identity is special. Because high-level missions require leaving the scope of Konohagakure village, the tailed beast Jinchuriki can of course leave the ninja village, and the Jinchuriki of the major ninja villages are used as important combat support for missions, especially in wars. It is impossible to keep them all as treasures at home. But there is an obvious premise that the Jinchuriki must reach a relatively stable stage. As the leader of Team 7, Kakashi naturally needs to be more cautious in this regard. It is not an exaggeration to say that whether Team 7 can take high-level tasks and leave the ninja village requires the approval of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third-generation Hokage. Therefore, in the first month before the establishment of Team 7, they were frantically carrying out the lowest D-level tasks, either searching for lost items or helping some people in Konoha village to do some heavy work. They must talk about tasks with risks and technical content, that is, helping to capture domestic livestock that have escaped. But that may be a bit risky for ordinary people. For ninjas, it is really not difficult at all. After all, it is not a large and ferocious beast. Menma was mentally prepared and knew that he could not be impatient, so he did not show too many strange emotions. What's more, Menma knew that there would be people who would be more anxious than him. Sure enough, it was one morning more than a month later. Just after completing another most common lost pet search mission. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark. Brother Kakashi, is this going to be over? They are all D-level tasks. Either we are pulling weeds today or looking for lost objects tomorrow. There is no technical content at all. You can't accept some slightly more difficult tasks. Naruto held the pet tightly in his arms. On the way back to the mission building, he looked at Kakashi with a very unhappy expression and said in a very dissatisfied tone. After a month, the number of D-level tasks carried out has exceeded double digits. It may still be a little fresh at first, and Naruto can maintain a high level of patience, but now it is such low-level tasks repeatedly, Naruto is sure I just can't stand it anymore. He wants to have challenging and difficult tasks. Sasuke also nodded slightly subconsciously, agreeing in his heart. This kind of low-level task has too little value to speak of, and it is even less likely to have any training significance or effect. No, you have just graduated. We are still far away from high-level missions. Now we should just carry out D-level missions honestly. This is a necessary process for every genin. Kakashi still looked lazy, looking at the treasure book in his hand, and replied casually. How long will it take? Brother Kakashi, it's already been a month. Naruto raised his head, his face full of resentment. It's only been a month. Work hard slowly and don't be impatient, Naruto. Kakashi said calmly. Okay. Naruto's tone drew out with obvious disappointment. Receiving things like missions really depends on the captain. If Kakashi is really unwilling to lead them to receive high-level missions, there is really nothing he can do. However, just when Naruto was about to give up and hold on for a while, the 5-person team of the 7th team stepped into the mission building, and a figure appeared above the main seat where they received the mission. Then it aroused Naruto's restless heart. Oh, 3rd-generation grandfather, why are you here in the mission building today? Naruto looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was sitting in the middle seat wearing a god robe and a Hokage hat, with a hint of surprise, and shouted loudly. As the shadow of a village. In most cases, Hiruzen Sarutobi would stay in his office to deal with huge and complicated government affairs, but occasionally he would still take some time to inspect the work of various departments in the ninja village. Mission Center. It is also one of the most important institutions in a ninja village. Sarutobi Hiruzen would also come here regularly to personally issue tasks to some ninjas every once in a while. This can be regarded as a people-friendly act. Haha, if you have time today, come over and take a look. Your mission went smoothly, Naruto. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded slightly with his usual kind smile and said, Yes, 3rd-generation grandpa, this mission has been successfully completed. Therefore, I want to challenge a more difficult task. 3rd-generation grandpa, please give our team a C level or above mission, so that it will be more challenging. Saw Sarutobi Hiruzen. Naruto immediately changed his mind. After passing this village, there is no such store. If possible, a ghost would be willing to continue performing D-level missions. What Naruto wants is a challenge. His goal has always been to become the greatest Hokage, far surpassing his father and even the greatest Hokage in history. While handing over the task, he couldn't wait to speak. Oh, why are you so impatient, Naruto? There are regulations for which teams receive what level of tasks. For a newly formed team like you, in the initial period of time, they can only perform the lowest level tasks. Mission, this is also to better train you. Your instructor Kakashi is an experienced ninja, he will know when to receive the appropriate mission for you. Sarutobi Hiruzen still looked at Naruto with a smile and said, Of course I understand these principles, but it has been more than a month. Grandpa 3rd generation and brother Kakashi have no intention of receiving high-level tasks. D-level tasks are not difficult or meaningful to us at all. If ninjas want to grow up, they need more training and tests. The strength of our team is fully capable of performing higher-level tasks. Moreover, the worst thing is that we still have brother Kakashi here, don't you think so? Quote. Naruto seemed to be about to confront Sarutobi Hiruzen. Still said reluctantly, I think what Naruto said makes sense. Our team can indeed try more difficult tasks. After all, at our age, Kakashi-sensei is already a jonin. Menma also continued what Naruto had said. High-level and not high-level tasks. For Menma now, the difference is really not that big, but Menma really hopes to have the opportunity to leave the village. The reason is simple. For the plans that may be carried out in the future, Menma needs to be familiar with the terrain around Konoha Hidden Village to a certain extent. The description in the original work of the previous life and the understanding on paper in this life are completely insufficient. You must do it through your own personal investigation. And this requires receiving a mission that can leave the ninja village, and more than one person can do it. Menma didn't want to face the problem of not being familiar with the road later on. After all, this was no small problem. Menma opened his mouth. Naruto suddenly showed a happy expression. That's right, brother Kakashi, you still say that we are young. You are already the Junin of the village at the age of 12. We can definitely carry out higher level tasks. Even Sasuke on the side nodded in agreement. You guys. Kakashi shook his head in amusement. And that's when Kakashi wanted to say something again. Well, that does make sense, but Naruto, Menma, you have to think about it carefully. Every time the level of the tasks performed by ninjas goes up, the difficulty is very different. Although you have Kakashi in your team, but once the mission fails, the evaluation of ninjas will also become lower. Even so, will you continue to persist? Quote. Hiruzen Sarutobi asked with great interest. Seeing Hiruzen Sarutobi speak, Kakashi shut his mouth. Anyway, as long as Hiruzen Sarutobi didn't object, Kakashi didn't care. With his strength, in most cases, there is indeed nothing to worry about. Don't worry, third-generation grandpa, with the strength of our team, we will definitely complete the mission successfully. Naruto's eyes suddenly lit up when Sarutobi Hiruzen let go, and he spoke quickly as if he was afraid that Sarutobi Hiruzen would regret it. Well, okay, then I will give your team a C-level mission in advance. Naruto, Menma, you have spoken out, and you must complete it when the time comes. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and nodded at these words. Stop talking about Naruto. The corners of both of the two pillars' mouths slightly raised at that moment, revealing a faint smile. D-level mission. To be honest, Sasuke was already annoyed. This was really a waste of time. This is what you said, third-generation grandpa, you can't go back on your word. We will definitely complete it for you to see. Naruto patted his chest hard and said confidently. Hehe, then I'll wait and see. Sarutobi Hiruzen chuckled and motioned to an ordinary Konoha ninja beside him to hand over another mission book, and after glancing at it. Let's take this C-level mission, which will ask you to protect a person. This mission also requires going to another country. I think it should be very suitable for you at the moment. Sarutobi Hiruzen also directly locked onto an ordinary C-level mission above, and while talking to Naruto and Menma, he motioned for others to lead the employer over. Yeah, Naruto also nodded like a chicken sucking rice. Protect someone. It seems that it is very likely to be that mission again. Single quote. Menma's eyebrows slightly raised, and the corresponding plot fragments in the original book appeared in his mind. The next second, squeak, the side door of the hall was pushed open. The figure of a sloppy uncle wearing a bamboo hat appeared in the eyes of Menma, Naruto and others. The moment he saw this figure, Menma's pupils also quickly flashed a look of, as expected. Tazuna. This is the name of the old man who appears in front of Menma and others at this moment, and the task extended from it is the plot of the Kingdom of Waves that will involve the famous demon Zabuza in the original work. Logically speaking, this should be an A-level mission. Even if you don't know that there is a ruthless person like Momochi Zabuza, you must at least be rated as B. Different from other distinctions of task levels, in the ninja system, there is a real difference between C-level tasks and B-level tasks. Because the criterion for classification here is whether other ninjas are involved in the mission. If there is, it is grade B or above, if not, it is grade C or below. The mission reward given by Tazuna is almost C-level standard. He himself said that he is only being targeted by the underworld. The mission judgment given by Konoha Hidden Village is naturally C-level. Just the gangsters and some gangsters, not to mention ninjas, can be easily swept away with a little deployment of some state-level guards. Of course, it is impossible for Ninjamura to believe everything his employer says. There will still be some basic research on your own. But note that this is just a basic survey. Let me prove the authenticity of the tasks issued by the employer. It is impossible to make a 100% investigation. This is also the reason why some people can successfully steal chickens, but only at the beginning, because during the execution of the task, if the difficulty is completely different from the initial determination, the ninja has the right to give up the task. Remuneration is of course one aspect. But more importantly, under normal circumstances, the level of the ninja who receives the task is slightly higher than the task level. When the difficulty is infinitely higher, he will naturally lose the ability to complete the task. Abandoning the task is the right thing to do. In the original novel, Tazuna is really lucky. What we encountered was Team 7 led by Kakashi. Otherwise, as long as a genin team led by an ordinary chunin, let alone Zabuza, there is a high probability that the two ghost brothers can directly destroy the team that received the mission. And in this life, let's take the lead first, and we'll talk about it later. Single quote. Menma narrowed his eyes slightly, and a different thought obviously came to his mind. I am the famous bridge construction expert. Tazuna, are you the ninjas who are here to protect me? As soon as Tazuna came in, he looked at the 5 people Kakashi and Menma sitting aside with a look of scrutiny. At first, when he saw that Menma and Naruto were both little devils, Tazuna's muscles seemed to tighten subconsciously, but when his eyes shifted to Kakashi in the next second, Tazuna, my heart relaxed. As an employer who came to Konoha to issue a mission, Tazuna still knew some basic information about the ninja village. Although he didn't know who Kakashi was, he could wear Konoha's standard vest, so he must be a chunin or above. Tazuna had no idea how terrifying the people who were about to ambush him were. If he thought he was an ordinary ninja hired by Kato, then Konoha's chunin should be able to protect himself. Tazuna thought to herself silently. Hee, that's right, this old man, you don't need to worry at all. Our 7th class will definitely protect you. Naruto patted his chest hard and said confidently. Children, it's better not to talk nonsense. I think it's more reliable for our captain to say this. Tatsuna glanced at Naruto and said with distrust. Quote exclamation mark. What did you say? Then I must. When Naruto heard Tazuna's words, he became anxious and wanted to say something to express his moment. Okay, Naruto, Tazuna-san, don't worry. I will lead the team. There will be no problem with such a C-level mission, so don't worry. Kakashi waved his hand, interrupting Naruto's words, then turned to look at Tazuna, and spoke the most confident words in the calmest tone. When Tazuna heard Kakashi's words, his heart sank slightly. However, as an old man, he did not show any emotions on the surface but looked very cooperative. Kakashi bowed slightly and said, Then I'll trouble you, Ninja-sama. Then, let's officially set off tomorrow morning, at 8 o'clock sharp. Then please meet us on time at the main entrance of the village. That should be okay, right? Kakashi stepped forward and after receiving the mission scroll from his companion, he also turned to look at Tazuna and said. Well, I have no problem at all here. Tazuna also said with a smile, and then left the mission building. Okay, you 4 should go back and pack. This mission will take you out for 3 or 4 days at least. Prepare the necessary luggage yourself, and then meet at the main entrance on time tomorrow. Do you understand? This is also the first time since taking charge that Kakashi said this to the 4 people in his team with the most serious expression. In any case, this is the first time that his team has left the village, and now it is different from their time. Kakashi feels that it is necessary for Menma and Naruto to have a clearer understanding, even if this is a C-level mission. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, big brother Kakashi. Menma and the other 4 people also responded in unison. Just watch, 3rd generation grandpa, we will definitely complete the mission successfully this time. Before leaving, as if to prove himself, Naruto clenched his right fist and waved it twice, looking at Sarutobi Hiruzen and said confidently. Haha, then I'll wait for your good news. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and replied. And then, inadvertently, he glanced at Menma more. Among the people present, almost no one noticed, except Menma. Kagura's mind has become more mature, and now that he has reached an agreement with the Kurama in his body, Menma can easily detect other people's special attention to him. Even if it's just a little bit, it's impossible to escape Menma's perception. In other words, there are indeed many people in this world who can defeat or even kill Menma, but absolutely no one can sneak attack Menma. Unless it can be extremely fast, but even so, Menma can only react physically at most, but he can still perceive it on the spiritual level. HMPH, this old man. Menma snorted inwardly, but on the surface he was still the same as Kakashi and the others, without any extra expression. He turned around and followed Kakashi. The 5 members of Team 7 also left the mission building at the same time, and went back to their own homes to make the necessary preparations before leaving the village. Chapter 31. The next day, at 7:45 in the morning. At the main entrance of Konohagakure village. Swoosh. Menma, carrying his backpack, flew from the roof at a distance, and stopped at a nearby position. There were already 4 figures standing on the spot, including his employer Tazuna. The other 2 were Kakashi, Uchiha Sasuke, and Sakura. They were also like Menma, each carrying a backpack, which contained some necessary ninja tools and daily necessities. This was also the standard configuration for ninjas to leave the village to perform missions. And it was when Menma just arrived. Oh, I'm coming. In the distance, a golden figure flashed over, and Naruto's familiar clamoring tone also sounded. Well, everyone is here, so let's go. Kakashi looked at Naruto who was rushing over and nodded gently. After handing the proof of leaving the village to the ninja guarding the main gate for inspection, he took Menma, Naruto and his party out of Konohagakure village and set out on the road to Wave Country. Almost at the same time. Konohagakure village, northwest corner. In a secret room somewhere in the underground secret base of the route. Shimura Danzo also received the corresponding news at the first time. The only eye exposed to the outside of Danzo also revealed a trace of extremely sinister look. Hi, the words shouted softly. Swoosh, in the shadow position of the corner, a dark figure suddenly appeared. Go, deliver the thing you agreed to before to Orochimaru, and then tell him that I agree to his plan, but he must show some sincerity to let me see it first. Danzo said indifferently. Yes, Master Danzo. After the black shadow suddenly bowed his head to answer, he also leapt and disappeared directly on the spot. Humph, you let the 12-year-old Nine-Tails Jinchuriki leave the village so easily. Hiruzen, I think you were really old and confused, then don't blame me for being cruel. Danzo seemed to be able to see the figure of Sarutobi Hiruzen far away in the mission center building through the barriers, and his words were full of coldness. Unlike the Hidden Leaf village that reached its second peak before the Third Ninja World War, and even more different from the initial stage of Konoha's easy suppression of the entire ninja world, the current Hidden Leaf village can really be said to be an era of transition. The pillars are either all old or died in battle. Among the young and strong generation today, there are very few people who are worth looking at. This also led to the unprecedented importance of Menma, the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. Once a new round of Ninja World War breaks out, Konoha will have to rely on the power of Menma, the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. Konoha is now a giant beast that looks strong on the outside but is actually extremely weak on the inside. Without such a little thing to support the facade, it is easy to collapse and die with a slight push. Therefore, once Menma has any special actions or encounters, he will attract everyone's attention. This first time leaving the village is an important node. And Menma himself actually has a certain degree of awareness of this. But for Menma, the more attention, the more. As long as it doesn't actually affect him, it doesn't matter. He only needs to stay alive and develop, and then wait for the necessary opportunity. And this opportunity is getting closer and closer. Menma stepped out of the Hidden Leaf village, looked back at the huge main gate of the Hidden Leaf village behind him, and a special luster appeared in his pupils. A group of people walking all the way. Because the employer Tazuna is an ordinary person. The speed of Team 7 can only be the same as ordinary people walking. If they move at this speed, it will normally take more than a day to reach the land of waves. And you have to be lucky to have a boat to take. Otherwise, if you count the waiting time, this round trip does take more than 2 days. At the same time of departure, Kakashi also popularized the relevant content to the little guys in the team. After all, this is the first time that Menma, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura have left the village. Only 1 day. It seems that it is not far. But, Tazuna-san, why don't you hire ninjas in your own country? If it is just a sea-level mission, ordinary ninjas can handle it. After listening, Sakura nodded and asked Tazuna with a curious look. Naruto and Sasuke on the side also looked at Tazuna sideways. It is obvious that they are also a little interested in this issue. Only Menma still has a calm look. Little girl. Ah, just call me Sakura. Well, Sakura, our wave country is just a small country. The entire country is only as big as the main city of Fire Country. It is impossible to have its own ninja village. There are some wandering ninjas occasionally, but the risk of hiring those people is too high. Naturally, it is safest to seek regular ninjas. Konoha is one of the 5 major countries and the closest to our wave country. Naturally, I will come to Konoha to issue tasks. Tazuna said with a bit of helplessness. Oh, is that so? Sakura nodded with a look of realization on her face. Although Haruno Sakura is a university master of theoretical knowledge, not everything is taught in the ninja school. Theoretical knowledge is almost all about teaching ninjas. Other knowledge and information only involve a small part. The focus is still on the teaching of the will of fire, the origin of Konohagakure, and a brief introduction to the 5 major countries. Other content is impossible to learn in the ninja school. Therefore, it is natural that Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke and others have a deviation in their understanding of the layout of the ninja world. In other words, apart from the 5 major countries, there are no regular ninjas in other countries. By the way, it seems that there are no other people in the 5 major countries except Konoha. In terms of theoretical knowledge, Naruto still performs at his level very touchingly and steadily. He in this time and space is almost the same as in the original book in terms of personality. In other words, he can learn some theoretical knowledge related to ninja in this time and space, but don't expect Naruto to study and master the other contents seriously. The 5 great countries refer to the ninja villages in the 5 countries. In addition to our Konoha, which belongs to the Fire Country, there are also the Cloud Village in the Lightning Country, the Rock Village in the Earth Country, the Sand Village in the Wind Country, and the Mist Village in the Water Country. Naruto, didn't the teacher teach this in the 2nd grade? Sakura looked at Naruto with a very strange expression and asked. After all, this is common sense in the ninja world. Ah ha ha, is that so? I even forgot about it. Naruto touched the back of his head a little embarrassed and said haha. Sasuke glanced at Naruto as if he was disgusted. Only Menma felt that this was completely normal. If Naruto didn't do this, he wouldn't be Naruto. In this life, with a different identity and a different situation, Naruto didn't do the same pranks as in the original work. In essence, Naruto still hasn't changed at all. He is completely the optimistic airhot type. You, Naruto, you still need to remember these things carefully. Just like what Sakura said, the 5 ninja villages just mentioned are the 5 major countries recognized in the ninja world. It does not mean that we are the only 5 major countries. For regular ninjas, in fact, in other countries in the ninja world, there are still many small country ninja villages such as Kusagakure Village, Takigakure Village, Omegakure Village, Yugakure Village, etc. The ninjas from these ninja villages can also be regarded as regular ninjas, but compared with the 5 major countries mentioned earlier, including our Konoha, the gap is very big. Only the leaders of our 5 major countries can be called shadows. We Konoha as the Hokage, while the other 4 major countries are their Mizukage, Raikage, Earth Shadow and Kazekage. Kakashi patted Naruto's little head gently and said, "Oh, so that's it," Naruto said as if he suddenly realized something. "So, Hokage is a very great title. Naruto, if you say that you want to inherit or even surpass all previous Hokages, including your father's 4th generation, then you can't just talk about it, you have to pay more. It takes a lot of effort." Kakashi looked at Naruto and said with a slightly serious tone. "Of course I know it, brother Kakashi, just believe me. I will definitely not lose to anyone if I work hard on this." Naruto raised his head and said loudly. As he spoke, he obviously glanced at Menma and Sasuke who were standing aside. After all, in the ninja school, the results of the 3 of them were in the top 3 in terms of actual skills. Competing with each other is also natural. However, if Naruto and Sasuke were still able to win or lose, Menma would always outperform the 2 and remain in 1st place. Sasuke and Menma were also able to notice Naruto's gaze. Menma naturally had the same calm expression, while Sasuke snorted and glanced at Menma subconsciously. And Tazuna, who had been following behind silently, couldn't help but look at Naruto one more time at this moment. The old man really didn't expect that the blonde kid in front of him, who didn't seem to be very smart, could actually be the son of the 4th Hokage, the hero of Konoha Hidden Village. Such an identity. It is already extremely noble in the ninja world. But also because of this, Tazuna's confidence in this trip has become more and more abundant. After accepting the mission, Tazuna already knew Kakashi's status as a Junin, and now, he has learned even more the identity of Naruto's 4th generation son. Then, this Konoha ninja named Hatake Kakashi must be one of the best in the Jonin level. Otherwise, how could he be qualified to be the leading Jonin of the 4th son? My bridge will definitely be completed successfully this time. Single quote. Tazuna thought silently in his heart. The group of Team 7 gradually moved away. Even with an ordinary person like Tatsuna, after 2 or 3 hours, the group had completely left the strength of the Hidden Leaf Village and headed steadily towards the southeast coast border of the Land of Fire. And just when they entered a straight avenue with many towering trees on both sides, Kakashi, who was walking on the far right, couldn't help but stare slightly. The next second, whoosh, whoosh, suddenly, behind the trees on both sides of the avenue, Two burly figures suddenly sprang out and approached at extremely fast speeds. Most of the people at the scene did not react. In a moment, they were in a position close to Kakashi, with one on the left and one on the right in a formation stretching towards the two wings. Crash! A thick and dark iron chain was revealed. Kang! Between flashes. It was a perfect fit for Kakashi. Then he suddenly pulled it towards both sides. PFF'd. Zilu. There was a dull sound as if the flesh and blood were penetrated by metal and then completely torn apart. Kakashi's body was immediately torn apart. A lot of blood splattered out. Kakashi sensei. In one side position. The pupils of Sakura, Sasuke, Tazuna and others suddenly shrank, and Haruno Sakura could not restrain herself from screaming. As the young ninjas of this generation of Konoha who grew up like hothouse flowers, they have never seen the cruel scenes of blood and fire called ninjas. At this moment, they watched helplessly as their own instructors fought in such a bloody and cruel way. Death in a cruel way in front of her own eyes, Haruno Sakura's spirit is naturally easily affected. First, the one who comes. It was after killing Kakashi. The pupils looking at Menma, Naruto and others also showed a look of solemnity. Boom! With the chakra bursting under his feet. He also quickly approached the position of several people. Haruno Sakura was obviously stimulated by this scene and stood there stupidly. But only Sakura had such a poor psychological quality. Others, including Naruto who was stunned in the original book, reacted immediately after the initial daze. However, Menma and Sasuke's reactions were obviously faster than Naruto's. Because the two people's experiences were not comparable to Naruto's. Both of them witnessed the tragic death of their parents. Such a small scene could not shake their minds. Therefore, the two did not even waver at the beginning. Almost just a second before the two sneak attackers turned their bodies and rushed towards them, Menma and Sasuke had already shaken their bodies. Each of them went up to meet the attack. Clear division of labor. Alternate cover attack. Bang! Kang! Easily blocked the attacks of the two attackers. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. This was a response far beyond expectations. The pupils of the two attackers shrank involuntarily. It was obvious that this rookie genin who had just graduated not long ago could actually have such a quick reaction and strength. The moment the two attackers' eyes met, a hint of danger immediately emerged in their hearts. They wanted to distance themselves directly. HMPH. In the front position, Menma snorted. Shua, the more massive chakra that then burst out. Bang, the force that was suppressed from the side. Not good. The attacker in front of him sank, feeling the strong sense of suppression that was transmitted. The face of this attacker also changed suddenly. It was already a sticky confrontation that could not be escaped. Menma swung his right hand vigorously and broke the blocking posture of this attacker in the most fierce way. Hateful. The middle door is wide open. He walked in with a numb face. Arms raised high. The cold luster of kunai reflected under the bright sun. At that moment, there seemed to be a slight hesitation. But only after a second. There was a sharp look in Menma's pupils. It stabbed down brightly towards the vital part of the intruder. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. This is already a distance that is impossible to dodge. The attacker clenched his teeth and turned around with all his strength. At the same time, he swung his right arm sideways to block him. PFF'd, barely blocking the critical attack. But the kunai still entered the attacker's right arm easily. It fell with the dull sound of metal penetrating flesh and blood. Zilu. Blood splattered everywhere. The attackers couldn't help but groan in pain. The other arm that twisted back was about to fight back. Aha! Menma, however, had already raised his left leg one step ahead, volleyed in the air, and kicked the attacker's abdomen hard. A burst of power. Wow! While causing the intruder in front of him to vomit a large amount of blood from his mouth, he quickly dodged back like a cannonball. Pong! It hit the ground hard. Under a double blow. This attacker felt as if his body was about to fall apart, but he had not yet recovered. Menma had already reached the upper position in a flash. Bent his knees and hit the attacker's abdomen hard again. This blow also made the attacker completely lose his ability to resist. He rolled his eyelids and became dizzy. And that was after Menma subdued the intruder. Position on the other side. Sasuke also hit another attacker in the neck with a hand knife, knocking this attacker out directly. Ah, you two reacted too quickly, didn't you? Leave one for me. Naruto, who was belatedly aware of this, looked at Menma and Sasuke, who were each placed on an enemy, with a look of displeasure on their faces. This is a rare opportunity for actual combat after leaving the village. I missed it right away. Naruto is heartbroken and regretful. Haha, then you have to act faster next time, Naruto. Menma directly took out the rope and tied all the two attackers to the big tree nearby, while looking at Naruto and said softly. HMPH, just watch. Next time, I will definitely be faster than both of you. Naruto wrinkled his nose and said. Is this still the time to discuss this? Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi-sensei was killed. Haruno Sakura, who was not far away, seemed to have just recovered from her sluggish state. Her eyes widened when she heard and saw that Menma, Naruto, and Sasuke were still very calm and calm. Looking at the three people, he subconsciously shouted. Sakura really couldn't understand it. Isn't the death of his own mentor Junin not important at all to Menma, Naruto, and Sasuke? Let me tell you, Sakura, take a closer look at the place where brother Kakashi was just now. By the way, this is already the second time. Don't you still have an idea of brother Kakashi's strength? After Naruto heard Sakura yelling, he also shook his head, pointed to the place where Kakashi had been, and said with a slightly helpless tone. Menma and Sasuke still looked calm. Only Sakura was stunned when she heard Naruto's words. Then she subconsciously followed Naruto's fingers and saw that Kakashi's body had turned into a wooden pile broken into several sections at some point. The blood that was spattered before has now completely disappeared without a trace. This cannot be said to be exactly the same as a month ago, but it is almost the same scene. A look of embarrassment suddenly appeared on Sakura's face. Ahaha, it turns out to be a substitute technique. Sakura showed an awkward yet polite smile, trying to cover it up with a smile. Also, brother Kakashi, you should have come out, right? With your strength, you can easily defeat these two enemies, right? Why are you still hiding? Naruto seemed a little dissatisfied and didn't quite understand. Haha, I still haven't hidden it from your eyes. However, there is a reason for me to hide. Naruto, this is to judge who the real target of this attacker is. After all, don't forget, this mission is only sea level, Naruto, but it's just Menma and Sasuke. You two started too quickly, and you can't even judge now. Kakashi stepped out from the shadow of the big tree on the right side of the road, with a smile on his face after finishing the first half of the sentence. The second half of the sentence was also said deliberately looking at Tazuna. It was at this moment that Tazuna finally couldn't maintain his composure, and a trace of panic clearly appeared in his pupils. The real target, brother Kakashi, what do you mean? Naruto is just simple, just a little unwilling to think sometimes, but it doesn't mean that he is a fool. Not to mention that Kakashi has already made it so clear. It would be strange if Naruto still couldn't understand. Isn't it easy to know who the target is? Teacher Kakashi, you should have many ways to pry open the mouths of these two mist ninjas. Menma smiled lightly, glanced at the two ghost brothers who were still unconscious, and looked back at Kakashi and replied. That's right, you have heard the words, Tazuna-san, do you need to give us an explanation? Oh, of course, you can also remain silent, but there must be someone willing to speak over there. Kakashi turned his head to look at Tazuna, and at this moment he didn't need to hide anything. Menma, Sasuke, and Naruto's eyes had already been fixed on Tazuna as Kakashi spoke. Only Sakura still had a confused expression on her face. Even turning her head left and right, she still couldn't understand what the situation was at the moment. Hey, after the two mist ninjas were subdued and Kakashi reappeared, Tazuna's expression was already tense. As Kakashi finished speaking, Tazuna couldn't help but sigh deeply. He didn't mean to not understand, but he had always pretended not to understand. In his heart, he always hoped that if the ninjas he hired from the Hidden Leaf Village came to protect him, those who wanted his life would retreat. He could get a safe period of time for free and hold on until the bridge was built. But now all the fantasies have been directly pierced. Don't ask, these people are coming for me. Tazuna also admitted it directly. The facts are already in front of him. If he continues to pretend, there is no point. Tazuna is an old guy who has lived for decades. He still knows this clearly. He still holds on to the last glimmer of hope. Of course, He has to keep this last bit of goodwill that may not exist, but may exist. Since you have admitted it, you should know that the difficulty of the mission with ninjas involved is completely different from before. These two are ninjas from Kurigakure village. According to the mission level, the minimum is B level. Even taking into account the possible risks in the future, it is not an exaggeration to set it as an A-level mission, and the reward you give to the village is only C level. You should know the difference between us, Tazuna-san, right? You have the right to give up the mission directly. Kakashi also looked at Tazuna with a serious expression and said. Kakashi just had to say directly that Tazuna was deceiving the Hidden Leaf village and lying about the mission level. This is an unforgivable mistake in the ninja world. Because this will cause the ninjas who perform the mission to encounter unpredictable dangers. At least the mission will fail, and in most cases, the entire army may be annihilated. Therefore, Kakashi's words are definitely not serious. Tazuna himself understood this. Of course I understand this, but, ninja-sama, I really have no other choice. You are an experienced ninja. You should know that our country of waves is a small country, and it is also the poorest in the small country. 1. Especially after it was invaded by the big businessman Cardo, the economic lifeline of the entire country of waves has fallen into Cardo's control. The rewards for my tasks are all collected together by the villagers. Really there is no more money, and the amount of remuneration required for B level is already far beyond imagination, let alone A level, so I can only adopt this method. Tazuna said with a very sad expression. It's natural for you to give up the mission, but I just hold on to the last glimmer of hope. I just want to build a bridge of courage for all people in the land of waves. Ninja-sama, I will not be afraid of death. I'm just worried about my country, my young daughter, and my very young grandson. There was even a slight vibrato in these words. Others don't say. Sakura and Naruto were directly touched inside. After all, the new generation of ninjas trained by Konoha Hidden Village in recent years cannot be regarded as qualified ninjas at all, because too many people have unnecessary sympathy. This is a real taboo for ninjas. In many cases, not only will you harm yourself, but you may also harm your companions. Menma couldn't stand this kind of behavior. Because of your pity, do you want others to pay for your lies? What Tazuna did may indeed be for the entire country of waves, or he may be a man with kindness, courage and justice in his heart. But at least in the original work, in this life, the lies he told Team 7 were real. To put it bluntly, Tatsuna's behavior was equivalent to betting Team 7's life on his dream and their country of waves, future. But they still couldn't come up with matching rewards, so they just planned to kidnap them with emotion. Therefore, Menma did not hesitate at all and said directly, since Tazuna-san has already admitted it, then Kakashi-sensei, let's give up the mission and follow the village's mission execution regulations. In this case, we don't need to take any responsibility for abandoning the mission. Even though Menma knew very well, the enemy behind was Zabuza plus Haku. With the addition of him in their 7th team, as long as Kakashi is not careless, there is a high probability that they can defeat the combination of Zabuza plus Haku much easier than in the original work. If you really want to continue carrying out the mission, Menma doesn't care. But why do they do this? Menma couldn't think of any reason to support doing this. This is not the only opportunity to leave the village. Menma had no intention of becoming a holy mother. Even if he could help some people within his ability, he would never help someone who kidnapped them morally and even deceived them. Well, indeed, giving up the mission is the most appropriate decision. Kakashi also nodded slightly and said. The team he led was not a team composed of ordinary people. There is Uchiha Sasuke, the only orphan left in the village from the former wealthy Uchiha clan, Namikaze Naruto, the son of the 4th Hokage who died in the battle, and Uzumaki Menma, who is the 9-tailed Jinchuriki. An important existence that can encounter accidents. When the task exceeds expectations, you really need to give up decisively. Sasuke on the side didn't say anything, but there was a clear look of recognition on his face. For such a task, Sasuke really felt that there was no need to continue executing it. When Tazuna heard what Menma and Kakashi said one after another, there was an obvious look of panic in his pupils. Even he really didn't have much hope. But if there is no protection from Team 7 led by Kakashi, he will definitely die. Of course, there is one thing to say. Tazuna is indeed not afraid of death. If his death can lead to the successful completion of the bridge and free the people of the Kingdom of Waves from Cardo's control, Tazuna will naturally accept it, but if he dies directly now, that is meaningless. And he also has to consider his young daughter and young grandson at home. Tazuna's heart was obviously clenched at this moment. Ah, are you giving up like this? I don't think it's appropriate. Brother Kakashi, this old man is so pitiful. I think we can definitely help him, right? However, Naruto has clearly and steadily displayed his mother's attributes. In the original work, Naruto can even forgive Nagato and Obito. It is natural to sympathize with Tazuna and be willing to help Tazuna. Menma also subconsciously frowned when he heard Naruto's words. To be honest, Menma really hoped that Naruto in this life could be different before, but now it seems that the posture of his cheap brother in this life is really exactly the same as in the original work. Such an idea made Menma very uncomfortable. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, I think that Cardo is too hateful. Let's help Tatsuna-san, just to protect him until the bridge is built. I think it's totally okay. On the side, Sakura Haruno, who had no idea how much she weighed, and whose sympathy was overwhelming, also echoed Naruto's words at this moment, looked up at Kakashi, and said with a hint of hope. The words the two said. It sounded like the sound of nature to Tazuna. Tazuna's heart, which had been completely sunken, once again raised hope, and his eyes were fixed on Kakashi. He knows it very well. Do you want to continue the mission? The decision-making power falls on Kakashi alone. This is the direct focus of the site. I still think we should give up the mission, Kakashi-sensei. This is not only due to the rules that ninjas should abide by, but also due to our own responsibility. We don't know what dangers are waiting for us ahead. There are already 2 mist ninjas here. Since that one Kado can control the economy of a country, it is not impossible to pay more and hire the Jonin of the Hidden Mist Village. Maybe one person, Kakashi-sensei, you can deal with it, but what if the number exceeds this? We can't gamble the safety of our entire team on that uncertain unknown, Kakashi-sensei. Before Kakashi spoke, Menma said again with a very serious look. Originally, for Menma, the initial words were just a judgment of personal attitude. Whether he really gave up in the end or continued to carry out the mission, Menma didn't care. Anyway, with Kakashi here, it would be a kind of experience for himself to touch Zabuza and Haku. But now after hearing what Naruto and Sakura said, Menma completely changed his mind. He couldn't stand this kind of saint and confused behavior. So, he must stop Kakashi from agreeing to continue the mission. Menma didn't know whether Kakashi in the original work was really full of sympathy, or felt that he could handle everything, and boldly regarded this mission as a special test for Naruto, Sasuke and others, or whether he really had a brain at that moment. Just take Team 7 to continue the mission. But in this life, Menma believed that as long as he put everything on the table, there was a high probability that he could dissuade Kakashi. In the words just now, Menma hinted to Kakashi that he was not carrying out the mission alone, but with a bunch of rookies, and they were rookies with very special identities. 1 Jonin. You Kakashi can handle it, and you can suppress or even kill most of the Jonin, but what about 2? What about 3? Can you still handle it with ease? Can you still protect the 4 rookies of their Team 7? It doesn't matter if Haruno Sakura dies. But let's see if one of the other 3 dies. As expected, Menma's words changed Tazuna's face. Kakashi's expression also became serious. No matter what the original story was like, Menma had put the matter in front of him. Kakashi had to consider all these factors. As a person trusted by the 3rd Hokage, he could lead Team 7, and the burden on him was much heavier than it seemed on the surface. Kakashi fell into silence again. When Naruto saw this, his face became anxious, and the sight of Sakura beside him looking at Menma seemed to become subtle at this moment. Menma, how can you say that? Ninjas should not be afraid of difficulties and dangers. When we see people in trouble, shouldn't we help them? Are you such a person? Menma, I misjudged you. Naruto looked at Menma angrily and shouted loudly. I also think that it's not appropriate to do this. Menma-kun, Tazuna-san, and the people of Wave Country are really hardworking and dangerous. We should still help them. Sakura on the side didn't dare to say it as directly as Naruto, but her words not only clearly showed her attitude, but also revealed her dissatisfaction with Menma. In the eyes of Haruno Sakura, Menma's attitude and behavior are really too much. Shouldn't. Naruto, Sakura, do you know what you are saying? Menma said with a slightly cold expression. Do you have to help all the people in trouble in the world? Naruto, Sakura, in the entire ninja world, there are countless small countries and ninja villages, and people die every day. Can you help them? Indeed, ninjas should not be afraid of difficulties and hardships, but that depends on the situation. If you don't care about anything and just rush forward, that's what a fool would do. Menma's tone also became very cold at this moment. I don't know what you're thinking, Naruto, but I have to consider myself and you. In my eyes, the importance of companions is far greater than others. I can't take my life and the lives of companions to the gambling table. Naruto, you may be very confident in your own strength, and you may not be afraid of sacrifice, but do you want to see your companions die in battle? Because of a so-called just reason. If you continue to carry out the mission, Sakura will die in front of you. What should you do then? Will you regret it then? Or do you really think you are strong now? Arrogant enough to protect everything. Even Kakashi teacher doesn't dare to say that. And you, Sakura, I'm not saying it bluntly, don't you have a clear understanding of your own strength? Don't even want a stronger enemy, just the attacker just now, would you be an opponent? Have you never considered the option of your possible death? 12 years old, we just graduated, do you want your parents to receive the news of your death immediately? The more he talked, Menma's tone became more and more urgent and severe. The words were 3/10 true and 7/10 false, but the attitude was real. He was really angry at Naruto and Sakura for not being able to see the situation clearly. This was almost a direct rebuke to Naruto and Sakura. As Naruto and Sakura listened to Menma's words, their expressions gradually changed and they gradually became silent. Kakashi, who was on the other side, also looked at Menma deeply. Sasuke seemed to want to get to know Menma again, with a strange color flashing in his pupils. Tazuna, who had looked at Menma with some resentment before, was silent at this moment. From his own standpoint, Tazuna had reason to hate and envy Menma. From a purely personal perspective, if Menma didn't say much, Team 7 would most likely continue to protect him, and his bridge-building mission could be successfully completed. But Menma's words were the most correct. What reason did they have to bet their lives to accompany him on an adventure? The reward for a mere sea-level mission and the so-called justice. Tazuna is not a naive person. Tazuna, who has lived for decades, has seen through the darkness and cruelty of this world. How did his son-in-law die? Tazuna still doesn't know. Maybe this is fate. Single quote. Tazuna thought silently in his heart. When he thought everything was about to usher in the final result. Maybe you are right, Menma, I really can't help everyone, but my ninja way is to do what I say. I can't consider things that are too far and too complicated. I can only see what is in front of me. I am not qualified to ask you, but even if I am alone, I will continue to protect Tazuna-san. Naruto, who had slowly lowered his head before, suddenly raised his head again at this moment, and his blue eyes also revealed a firm look, and he said so in a resounding voice. An answer that suited Naruto's personality very well. This is an answer that sounds and looks full of passion and justice. But, from Menma's perspective, this is the stupidest answer. At this moment, Menma is really disappointed in his younger brother. Of course, Menma will not flaunt that he is right or justice, and even more so with Menma. The path he has been on. It's all self-interested. But he also didn't lie. He also valued the friendship between companions. As long as they were the most sincere companions, Naruto was his biological brother. Even if Naruto didn't know it, the relationship between the two the same blood flows. Of course, the more reason is that Naruto's character is really similar to his younger brother in his previous life. Based on these 2 points, there was no way Menma didn't care about Naruto. He really hopes that his brother, at a certain point in the future, can choose to stand on his side in a special situation, instead of pursuing the so-called mutual respect between people like in the original work. A passionate and righteous ending of understanding. But now, the Namikaze Naruto in this life and the Uzumaki Naruto in the original work, these infinitely overlapping figures made Menma feel terrible inside. He really felt that his younger brother was stupid. And I also feel stupid. What happened this time is really not important, but the questions that extend from this are extremely critical. Because through today, Menma seemed to be able to see the future of the two brothers. At that moment, Menma really had the urge to punch Naruto directly, wanting to wake Naruto up hard. Is this, Naruto? Hehe. Single quote. Menma took a deep breath and forced to calm down the anger that was about to burst out in his heart. Naruto was so determined. Haruno Sakura is not that strong and brave anymore. As shown in the original work, Haruno Sakura before Shippuden and Haruno Sakura in Shippuden and even in the subsequent plots are two completely different people. One is Sakura, one is Mr. Ying. Every Naruto fan knows the difference here, and Haruno Sakura is a real, green tea, now. Before, she was overflowing with pure sympathy and directly sympathized with Tazuna. She fully thought that her team could easily help Tazuna and the country of waves, and she was not aware of the danger at all. But after Menma pointed out the problem mercilessly, the emotion called fear naturally emerged in Haruno Sakura's heart. Single quote. As a person who grew up in the Greenhouse Ninja School of Konoha Hidden Village, Haruno Sakura has never seen the cruelty and darkness of the ninja world. It is even less possible to realize what the real danger is. But when he heard that he was likely to die, Haruno Sakura just couldn't control the negative emotions in her heart. Yes, I am the weakest in Class 7. If Cardo is a big businessman, he must be able to hire many powerful ninjas. Kakashi-sensei may not be able to protect him then. Single quote. The thought of this, Haruno Sakura naturally flinched. She is really still a child. It is impossible to have the courage to face death. While Naruto still insisted on his attitude, Haruno Sakura maintained the utmost silence. She no longer had the courage to speak. If it wasn't for the so-called self-esteem that got in the way at the end, she would have gone back and agreed with Menma's opinion. But such a silence is also a clear statement of attitude. Naruto, you guy. To be honest, Menma didn't care about Haruno Sakura's change of mood, but Naruto's firm attitude really annoyed Menma. Why is his nominal brother so stubborn? Hey, Naruto-kun, you don't need to insist anymore. Menma-kun is right. I deceived you. Our team should not have carried out such a mission. You should give up the mission. This is the most correct approach. And that was when Menma was about to continue saying something. In one side position, Tazuna, who had been silent just now, slowly spoke after sighing. Old man Tazuna, this and that are two different things. I have already said that this is my Nindo. Naruto still insisted on his opinion and shook his head. Brother Kakashi, I want to continue this mission and protect Mr. Tazuna when he goes to the country of waves. I will wait until the bridge is successfully completed. Naruto knew that he could not convince Menma in terms of ninja rules. In fact, from his own heart, he also understood that what Menma said might be the most appropriate. But he just doesn't want to take that appropriate path. He wants to stick to his own heart and what he thinks is right. Okay, Naruto, I didn't say I wouldn't continue the mission. Kakashi said as he slapped Naruto on the head in a funny way. Brother Kakashi, what do you mean? Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. These words also clearly showed his attitude. While Naruto looked happy, Menma's expression became a little weird. I have already made my interests and harms so clear. Kakashi actually insisted on continuing this mission. Could it be that this Hatake Wuwukai is a great philanthropist in the ninja world? That's really a big joke. This is either Kakashi's brain is full of water, or there is something else that he didn't think of. But no matter how Menma guessed, he couldn't find a reasonable explanation for Kakashi to take the newly graduated Team 7 to carry out such a mission with an uncertain level of danger. Teacher Kakashi, this, Menma didn't hide his doubts at all, just looked directly at Kakashi, showing his doubtful attitude. After all, if a ninja gives up the mission, it will still affect our evaluation, Menma, and this is your first C-level mission. It is best to complete it as much as possible. Of course, I have also considered the problems you were worried about. Don't worry, it's not so easy to hire a Jonin, and I have the ability to protect you. Kakashi smiled slightly, looked at Menma, and said in an extremely confident tone. As a Jonin with a high reputation in the ninja world, Kakashi does have the confidence to say such words. As long as it is not the top group of people from the major ninja villages, Kakashi is really capable of fighting many ordinary Jonins. But Menma still can't understand. Why does Kakashi have to take their Team 7 to take risks? Even if he is confident, he won't do this. But it is obvious that Kakashi has no intention of continuing to explain, or it is not appropriate to explain in person. This also made Menma frown. I know that brother Kakashi will never give up the mission. After hearing Kakashi's words, Naruto also showed a very happy expression. Sakura still looked uneasy, wanted to say something. But in the end she restrained herself. And the second pillar has been calm throughout the whole story. He originally thought that it didn't matter whether to carry out the mission or not, even though he did think that what Menma said made more sense. But from his own perspective, the second pillar didn't think there would be any danger. Besides, isn't it better to be in danger? Ninjas must go through the trials of blood and fire to truly grow up. Tazuna, who was sitting next to him, really felt like he was riding a roller coaster. Such a state of mind. Even Tazuna seemed a little unable to react. What do you mean, Ninja-sama? Can you continue the mission? Tazuna looked at Kakashi carefully and asked. Despite what he said just now, if he could really get the protection of Team 7 led by Kakashi, it would definitely be the one Tazuna would be most happy with. What you see unfolds. People cannot be afraid of death. But absolutely no one is willing to choose death, except for a few exceptions. Not to mention that Tazuna still has his own unfulfilled wish, so it is naturally even more impossible for him to wish to die here. But with the guards of Team 7, his wish will surely come true. Well, we will continue to carry out the mission, and until you successfully complete the bridge, Tazuna-san, please don't worry. Kakashi nodded slightly and replied. Then thank you so much. A look of ecstasy appeared on Tazuna's face. At this moment, it was absolutely 100% true. It was already a feeling like entering hell. Now I have come directly to heaven. It's strange that Tazuna couldn't be excited. Menma pursed his lips, turned his head and said nothing. In fact, as he said before, Menma himself doesn't care very much whether this task is carried out or not. Don't talk about dangerous issues. If you don't kill even one of them, if everyone is afraid. Menma gave up on his plan before it was too late. To put it bluntly, this is also a good opportunity to hone oneself, not to mention that there is a fat sheep like Kato who can harvest the wool openly. Due to emotions and reasons, it is not impossible to continue to perform the task. Therefore, the task itself is not a problem. Naruto's attitude and Kakashi's behavior were what Menma felt was a big problem. But since Kakashi, the team leader, had already made up his mind, Menma could only choose to reserve his opinion. But if there is a chance next time, Menma must ask clearly. Kakashi must have some reason to continue the mission. Otherwise, such an expansion cannot be explained at all. Okay, I'm going to deal with those two mist ninjas, and then we'll get back on the road. Seeing that Menma did not continue to ask, Kakashi also breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Just as Menma guessed, Kakashi did have another reason for continuing to perform the mission, but it was just not suitable to say it. Wait a minute, Kakashi-sensei, can you let us handle those two mist ninjas? Just as Kakashi was about to head towards the location of the two mist ninjas, Menma seemed to have thought of something. He looked up at Kakashi, took a deep breath, and spoke in a slightly lower voice. Huh, are you sure, Menma? Kakashi understood the meaning of Menma's words almost in an instant. Naruto and Sasuke were a little confused at first, but after a few seconds, they all reacted, and their expressions became serious at the same time. Only Haruno Sakura still looked stupid. A look of confusion on the situation. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, I am sure that I am a ninja now, so I should have the ninja's tolerance and mentality. Kakashi-sensei's first experience should have been when he was 5 or 6 years old. Now we are already far behind. Menma said with a determined look on his face. Okay, then I understand, so do you three have the same appeal as Menma? After Kakashi took a deep look at Menma, he also turned to look at Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura and said. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. This time, the gaze suddenly shifted. This made Naruto and Sasuke's pupils shrink slightly. Only Sakura still looked confused. He simply didn't understand the conversation between Menma and Kakashi, and he didn't even understand the true meaning of Kakashi's question. Well, Kakashi-sensei, what exactly does this mean? Sakura raised her right hand and asked weakly. Haha, this is a lesson that ninjas must go through, and that is to execute those two fog ninjas. Although Kakashi thought it was a little early before, but after hearing Menma's words, he really felt that this was the right time. If a ninja has never seen blood, how can he be said to be a qualified ninja? What? Kakashi's words just finished. Sakura's expression suddenly changed, and her body began to tremble slightly uncontrollably. Kill. Although the current Haruno Sakura is very naive and even a little stupid, as a ninja, she still has some awareness that one day in the future, she will definitely experience such a thing, but she has only graduated 1 month ago. We have to face this scenario head on. Before her mentality has really adjusted, Haruno Sakura must still not be able to accept it. Including Naruto fell silent at this moment. Only Sasuke. Just a few seconds later, without even thinking or hesitation. All come to. Sasuke looked up at Kakashi and said with a cold look on his face. Well, let's do this for now. Kakashi nodded, then picked up the 2 unconscious mist ninjas and walked towards the deep jungle on one side. Menma and Sasuke followed closely behind. Looking at the 3 people leaving, Naruto opened his mouth to say something, but finally swallowed it back. Sakura looked timid, and her erratic eyes were enough to show that Haruno Sakura's state of mind was really unstable at the moment. Tazuna looked much calmer. What kind of existence is a ninja? Even if Tazuna is an ordinary person, he still has a certain degree of cognition. Not to mention the 3 people who stayed in place. After Kakashi and the other 2 entered the jungle, they were out of sight of the 3 people. Kakashi gently threw the 2 mist ninjas to the ground. Then, he stretched out his finger. Lightly touched the 2 people. Feeling pain in coma. The 2 ghost brothers who woke up immediately opened their eyes subconsciously, revealing a trace of confusion. Illusion, heart torture technique. Kakashi immediately formed seals with both hands. This technique was directly used. Before the 2 brothers were fully awake, he also relied on his mental strength that was far superior to the 2. Kakashi used illusion to directly control the minds of the 2. Who is your employer? Then, Kakashi began to torture the 2 ghost brothers. It must be said that the world of ninjas is really convenient in torture, especially for those who are good at illusions. Kakashi was a tough guy who had been in the Anbu for several years before. His torture skills are not inferior to those professionals at all. It's just that the 2 ghost brothers obviously don't know much. The only valuable thing is that they confirm that the employer is indeed Kato, and Kato seems to have hired other ninjas, and they are still more powerful than the 2 of them. Strong presence. Apart from this, there was no other useful information from the ghost brothers. This was somewhat lower than Kakashi's previous expectations, and it also made Kakashi mentally further improve his judgment on the difficulty of the next task. It seems that we really only know so much. Okay, you 2 can start, but don't force it. This kind of thing requires getting used to slowly. After Kakashi finally determined that the ghost brothers were indeed of no value, he turned to look at Menma and Sasuke who were waiting behind him and said this. Menma and Sasuke seemed calm. But when Kakashi said these words, his body couldn't help but tremble subconsciously. Even in such a cruel and dark world, the first time you kill someone, you need to overcome the psychological pressure after all, burden. If he could kill someone for the first time without changing his expression and without any disturbance in his heart, such a person would not be an extremely terrifying existence on a psychological level. Although Menma and Sasuke are strong-willed people. But this is still the first time after all. Even if Menma has been a human being for 2 lifetimes. In his previous life, he was an ordinary student who had never even killed a chicken. He was going to kill someone right away. If he wasn't timid, he would be a humanoid monster. But Menma knew better that he had to go through this once. And this opportunity in front of us is the most suitable. The previous 2 battles were all because Menma's current strength was far beyond that of an ordinary Chunin. Whether it was Mizuki or the Ghost Brothers, it was impossible to really put any pressure on Menma. Menma could easily suppress it. But once they are evenly matched, they may even be enemies who are stronger than themselves. In a life and death struggle, if there is even the slightest hint of timidity, or even if you dare not use your full strength because you are afraid of killing, you will definitely lose, and it will become a joke. This is the path I want to choose. Single quote. Menma took a deep breath. He turned over his hand and took out a kunai, strode forward, and got close to the fog ninja on the left. Menma's raised right hand was faintly trembling. But Menma didn't have any hesitation at this moment, and a strong murderous aura flashed between his eyebrows. He stabbed the mist ninja fiercely in the chest. Puff! A sound came out. That kunai easily penetrated the chest of the mist ninja, and the blade sank in. The dull sound of falling, along with the blood splashing everywhere. The mist ninja, who still had a dull look on his face, showed a look of pain due to his body's instinct, and after his body twitched slightly, the life force quickly passed away. In less than a few seconds, this fog ninja tilted his head and died directly from Menma's kunai without realizing it. Menma took the life of this Kiri-nin. Sasuke on the side also hit his throat with a blow, which also killed the other ghost brother on the spot. Some of the blood on their bodies, looking into each other's eyes subconsciously. It seems to have an extra layer of special meaning. Kakashi in the back also nodded secretly when he saw Menma and Sasuke each completing their first killing mission. As an official ninja, you have to do this once after all. The current Konoha is very different from the past. As far as Kakashi knows, the mentality of the genin trained in recent years is worse than the last, and their overall level is far inferior to Kakashi and the others. Compared to my own time, there are many examples of people who just graduated not long ago, but due to various problems, either died easily in battle, or their mentality collapsed, and they were unable to continue being a ninja after they came back. To be honest, at first, Kakashi also had this concern about Team 7, which he led. After all, Konoha has been at peace for too long. It's been so long that the newly growing generation has almost no sense of danger, but now it seems that at least Menma and Sasuke don't need to worry about anything in this aspect, even if they were a little hesitant and timid at first. But this is also human nature. If it were really easy to kill someone for the first time without any trouble. Instead, Kakashi had to worry about the mental state of the two of them. Well, good, let's go back, Kakashi said softly. Yes, Menma and Sasuke also nodded slightly and responded simultaneously. Before the group of three walked away, Kakashi also formed a hand seal. Fire escape. Release a lowest level fire escape technique. Control the corpses of the two ghost brothers, burn them, turn them into ashes, and blow away with the wind. Went very quickly. Came back very quickly. Kakashi used genjutsu to torture the two of them for only a few minutes. Menma and Sasuke didn't hesitate at all, and naturally they didn't waste much time. Sakura and Naruto, who stayed above, saw the two people returning. Especially after getting closer, when he could faintly smell the bloody smell on Menma and Sasuke. The expressions of the two people also became a little unnatural. It seemed that nothing had changed, but at this moment, Sakura and Naruto had a feeling that Menma and Sasuke were completely different from before. Tazuna also looked at Menma and Sasuke with a special look. I have indeed learned a lot about it before. But after this close contact, Tazuna truly understood what a ninja is. This is only 12 years old. Single quote. Tazuna thought silently in his heart. Okay, let's go. Kakashi can naturally detect slight changes in the atmosphere of the team, but this seems to him to be a very normal development. With a wave of his right hand, a group of 6 people also embarked on the journey again, following the established route and heading towards the country of waves. All the way, it was different from the joy when I first left the village. The atmosphere in the team became a little more solemn. Naruto, who had always been a lively representative, became slightly silent. The same goes for Sakura. Only Menma and Sasuke remained as calm as ever, and the differences between them were gradually revealed at this moment. They were not originally on the same path. Menma glanced at Naruto on the right. Under his seemingly calm face, his heart was already cold. From this moment on, Menma has completely abandoned the last remaining unrealistic expectations from the past. Sure enough, I can only rely on myself. Single quote. Menma thought silently in his mind. The ghost brother is just an introduction. Although purely from the most basic standards, these two people can be regarded as chunin, but they are only the most ordinary chunin. They and Mizuki are probably in a close battle, and they really cannot be regarded as strong opponent. Not mentioning Menma, but it is clear that next is the demon Momochi Zabuza, who is one of the 7 former members of the Kurigakure village who can rival Kakashi at this stage, who has not yet realized that he has activated the Mangekyo Sharingan. Such an elite jonin exists. Even if it was part of the information Kakashi learned from the Ghost Brothers. It's enough to make everyone in Class 7 cheer up. Especially Sakura. The nerves along the way were completely tense. The two ghost brothers who suddenly arrived were no longer something she could easily deal with now, let alone an enemy that was even stronger than the ghost brothers. That nervous look, Kakashi couldn't help but frown. If a ninja has such a mentality, it will be easy for him to collapse. However, Kakashi did not say anything to comfort him. First of all, Kakashi is not that kind of moderate educator. Secondly, Kakashi felt that such a psychological problem needed to be overcome by the person involved. If he couldn't overcome it, then just sink into it. Kakashi will fulfill his responsibility as a leader, but will not blindly be responsible for all aspects of the problem. Not to mention, in Class 7, Haruno Sakura's status is really not that important. It is enough for Kakashi to be fully responsible for the other three. If Haruno Sakura is worthy of guidance, Kakashi will not deliberately hide his clumsiness, but if it is really a rotten tree that cannot be carved, Kakashi will simply let her fend for herself. It was also in such a slightly unconventional and peaceful environment that a group of people from Team 7 escorted Tazuna to the southeasternmost area of the Country of Fire. It was already dusk. The sky has gradually darkened. The climate is getting colder and colder. When Menma shook his body slightly subconsciously, suddenly, a dangerous omen appeared in his heart. The next second, within Menma's range of perception, a huge chakra aura quickly approached. Boom! Just a few seconds. In the sky, a violent sound broke through the air. Whoosh! An extremely sharp cold light bloomed, and it quickly attacked Menma and his group who were moving forward at the bottom. Get down! In the front position. It took much longer than Menma to sense Kakashi who was approaching another wave of chakra. The on-the-spot reaction was extremely quick. It was almost at that moment when a sharp cold light emerged. Kakashi took out a kunai with his backhand, while shouting loudly. While he suddenly jumped forward. Kang! In the blink of an eye, he was in front of that cold light. Cold front contact. Sparks flew. This unparalleled pressure caused Kakashi's face to change slightly at that moment, and he was forced to sway away from the attack. Aha! A cold light flashed to the other side. Pong! It was very easy to sink into the main trunk of a big tree, and a giant sword came into view. The next second, whoosh! A slender figure appeared galloping simultaneously, standing on the big sword, standing sideways, and filled with this formidable aura. It is enough to prove the powerful power of the visitor. The moment Menma saw this figure, his pupils shrank slightly. Kirin, Momochi Zabuza. Single quote. The person's name also appeared in his mind. Ho ho, it turns out it's the famous Sharingan Kakashi. No wonder the two ghost brothers missed it. Tisk tisk, this mission is really not worth it. After I go back, I have to ask that old guy for more reward. That's fine, otherwise it would be a big loss. So, I'm sorry, Kakashi Hatake, can you hand over the old man behind you? Zabuza squinted his eyes, looked at Kakashi in the lower position with an imposing manner, and said slowly. His whole body was filled with chilling intent, a huge air pressure deliberately released. It was so cold and terrifying at this moment. Not to mention Menma, who already knew the truth. Sasuke and Naruto also became very serious at this moment. Just by looking at the aura, they could tell that the person coming was definitely a powerful ninja. However, what Sasuke was more concerned about was the word, Sharingan, that Zabuza mentioned in his words. This is the biggest secret of their Uchiha clan. Does Kakashi have a Sharingan? No, it's impossible. Single quote. Sasuke looked at Kakashi's side face with a hint of surprise, and many thoughts emerged uncontrollably in his heart. Haruno Sakura, who can be called a weakling, couldn't help but tremble slightly the moment Zabuza appeared. Hey, isn't this the famous ghost, Momochi Zabuza? It's really an honor for me to meet you here. However, can you wait until I complete the mission before coming? Kakashi put his hands in his pockets, stepped forward lightly, and deliberately used his body to separate Zabuza and Menma. He seemed to be smiling and said this to Zabuza, but in fact, all the muscles in his body were tense at this moment. This time, the enemy is not an existence that can be easily dealt with. This is a terrifying enemy that even Kakashi himself is not 100% sure of winning. If it is a pure one-on-one duel, it is nothing. Kakashi can fight completely, but now he not only has to protect Tazuna, his employer, but also has to take care of the 4 little ones of Team 7. This will inevitably be somewhat restrained. Haha, it seems that there is no way to negotiate. Zabuza smiled coldly, and a naked bloodthirsty color appeared in his pupils. The next moment, boom, the huge chakra breath that was released, and the overwhelming murderous aura. As it spread out, Menma, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura and others in the lower position were covered. Each of them couldn't help but tremble. Especially Haruno Sakura, her face was full of fear. It was as if she saw her own death at this moment. The body was shaking extremely. No, 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 I will die. Die here, single quote. That was a completely uncontrollable emotion. It proved that this girl was on the verge of collapse. Although Naruto was stronger than Haruno Sakura. But that expression became very ugly, as if the throat was strangled, and the feeling of suffocation spread all over the body. The right hand holding the kunai was shaking uncontrollably. Only Menma and Sasuke could maintain the most basic calmness and rationality. But his expression was also extremely solemn and cold. This was not an opponent of the same level. Menma and Sasuke were both deeply aware that the power of the enemy in front of them was enough to easily kill them. Menma was fine, at least he had the power of the 9 tails as a backup, and he had not really released it yet, but even if it was just the power of the 3 tails, it was enough for Menma to sweep most of the ninjas in the ninja world. But Sasuke was not like that. At this moment, his hands were already clenched, and the lower lip that was bitten tightly was bitten a little because of too much force, and blood flowed out. The slight pain transmitted to the nerves, Sasuke still seemed to be unaware. However, this performance was much stronger than in the original book. It doesn't matter, I will protect you. You don't need to worry about anything. And it was at this moment. Kakashi, who was in the front position, turned his head slightly and looked at Menma, Sasuke and others with a gentle smile. The mask had been pulled down at some point. The scarlet and black 3 Magatama Sharingan was revealed. A surge of momentum also burst out. It almost offset the huge breath that Zabuza deliberately released. The 4 people in Team 7 felt relieved instantly. Haruno Sakura even felt like she had escaped death. At this moment, she also truly realized the enemy she and others were facing at the moment, and how strong the instructor of Team 7, Kakashi, was. Sharingan. It's really Sharingan. Single quote. Sasuke in the front position was full of shock when he saw the Sharingan in Kakashi's left eye socket clearly. You 4, use the B formation to protect Tazuna-san, and let me deal with the enemy. Yes, Menma and the other 4 also responded loudly at the same time. They spread out and formed an encirclement formation, guarding Tazuna in the middle position, which also prevented other people from attacking. Tazuna is just an ordinary person after all. Haha, then let me experience the power of the Sharingan. Zabuza smiled coldly and formed seals with his hands. Mist hidden technique. The first move was the standard method of the mist ninja. In an instant, the fog was everywhere. In just a few seconds, the previously clear vision was instantly covered by a white fog. In the thick white fog, not to mention the farther position, even Menma and the others in the near position could not see each other's figures clearly. They could only identify their positions through perception. Zabuza's figure was perfectly hidden in the white fog. It was impossible for ordinary ninjas to find or even lock Zabuza's position. Kakashi was even more alert. Under such a thick fog, Kakashi, who was not a perception-type ninja, could not determine Zabuza's position. Among the people present, only Menma could clearly sense Zabuza's position. 12 o'clock position. At this angle and distance, the target is still the people behind us. Single quote. Silent killing technique. This is Zabuza's signature. When used with the mist hidden technique, it is enough for Zabuza to kill most targets easily. Menma's expression was not revealed, but in fact, all the muscles in his body were tensed at this moment, and he clenched the kunai tightly. Swoosh. The next second, the figure that was approaching quickly. There was no sound at all. Here it comes, but Menma could clearly sense it. Swish. Press closer. The beheading sword raised high. A cold blade bloomed. Go to hell, little devils. In response to the bloodthirsty red color in Zabuza's pupils, the blade danced down rapidly. It pointed directly at the throat of Menma and the other 5. This demon from the mist-hidden village tried to kill Menma and the other 5 with one sword. In Zabuza's opinion, he could kill a few rookie genin and an ordinary old man with one strike. The aura concealment he had done before could definitely deceive Kakashi temporarily. He didn't need too much, just a few seconds. He could chop off the heads of these people. What a pity. Zabuza not only underestimated Menma and the others, but also underestimated Kakashi. At the moment when the cold beheading sword was hanging over the heads of the few people. Swoosh. Kakashi's figure also returned at a high speed, at the same time. Swish. Menma had already prepared in advance. Although his speed was far behind Zabuza, he could react in advance. Kang. He could barely respond. The flipped kunai blocked the beheading sword head-on. A fierce collision sound fell. Feeling the huge force transmitted, Menma's figure sank, and there was a sense of cracking in the tiger's mouth. It's so heavy. Single quote. Menma's expression became slightly ferocious at that moment. This was really a fight of different levels. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. An unexpected block. Zabuza's expression also changed slightly. What was even more terrible was that a sharp sound of breaking through the air fell from the right side. Kakashi, who originally planned to block Zabuza's attack for Menma and others, saw Menma's reaction at the last moment. He also immediately turned around and headed towards Zabuza's vital position. An extremely cold front. Come face to face. Zabuza also stared blankly. This simply means that there is no time to forcefully suppress Menma, so he can only forcefully swing it away while swinging Menma's kunai away. Pull horizontally. Kang. He stood up straight and blocked Kakashi's attack. A trembling aftertaste. Sparks burst out. It also woke up several other people. Naruto and Sasuke also reacted quickly and each took out a kunai and stabbed Zabuza in the abdomen and waist very quickly. But this seemed to Zabuza to be an extremely slow attack speed. Zabuza smiled disdainfully. Aha, a step back block. While avoiding Kakashi's strong attack, he also easily avoided the strong attacks of Naruto and Sasuke. Then a sliding step. He opened the distance and tried to hide his figure in the heavy white mist again. But how could Kakashi let Zabuza get his wish? The fully functioning Sharingan. Firmly locking Zabuza's position. Although it is different from the ultimate precise location search and locking of the Byakugan, the Sharingan also has the ability to detect the chakra of others. At such a close distance, Kakashi naturally couldn't let Zabuza continue to escape from his aura lock. It's the same chakra that bursts out with all its strength. Boom. The rippling momentum. Follow the trend and press forward. Kang. Ding 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 ding. Boom. The two of them started the most intense fight in that open space. A very flashing figure. The vibrations of being touched again and spread apart. Boom. Wow. A confrontation in which ordinary ninjas have no room to intervene. It dazzled Menma, Naruto, and Sasuke. Is this the true strength of Brother Kakashi? It's not like anything I've seen before. The super high-speed collision was so fast that my eyes could barely keep up, not to mention the powerful after effects of chakra that spread out. Naruto always widened his eyes at this moment. Such a battle. It can be regarded as a high-level collision that is rare in the ninja world. Menma wanted to support him. But after seeing this scene and the encounter with Zabuza just before the union, Menma knew very well that if he went up now, he would only add to the chaos. Unless the Nine Tails chakra exploded, he would not even be qualified to touch Zabuza. It's all a bit forced. The gap is still very obvious. Single quote. Menma couldn't help but think to himself. Even though Menma has worked very hard in the past 6 years, his growth in the ninja school is still limited after all. How much stronger can he get if he just carries out the most basic training in a strict manner? He is not a certain Shenyang. He can really increase his strength several times just by relying on the most basic training. Ninjas still have to experience collisions and fights again and again before they can grow up rapidly. After I go back this time, I must revise my previous training plan, and there are also some task arrangements. It is best to let Kakashi receive more tasks that give him the opportunity to practice in actual combat. Single quote. Menma looked at Zabuza and Kakashi, who were already in the middle of a fierce battle, with a hint of thoughtfulness in his pupils. But, even though he is not qualified to participate in this level of battle now, it does not mean that he can completely watch the show from the sidelines. Not to mention that as the battle continues to evolve, Zabuza is likely to be stuck. When Nishi was forced to have a chance to reveal a flaw, Just now Menma sensed a slightly obscure chakra aura reappearing in the surrounding position. It was enough that Menma had to be on full alert. The owner of this chakra aura is 100% the young man with the ice escape blood inheritance limit, Shiro. In the original book, this young man pretended to be a hunting force from Kurigakure village and used the method of fake death to trick Kakashi into rescuing Zabuza. Of course, it is also possible that Kakashi himself has reached his limit and is worried that Haku's strength is too strong. Naruto and others could not cope with it and pretended not to know. In this life, since Zabuza dares to show his face, don't even think about leaving. Although Bai is very strong. But for now, he is just an elite chunin. If they join forces, they will definitely be able to deal with it. As long as Kakashi can suppress Zabuza just like in the original work, or even more smoothly. Menma watched as another violent collision took place. Boom! Kakashi and Zabuza, who then burst out a wave of terrifying energy, moved their positions inadvertently, ready to take action at any time, while also paying attention to the people who were not very far away from themselves and others. Far White. Hiss. Phew. Haha, you are indeed Hitaki Kakashi, but today, I will decide this old man's fate. Once again, Kakashi pressed hard and was forced to pull Zabuza away, carrying his huge beheading sword. He seemed to be wearing a very excited smile, looking at Kakashi who was flying towards me again. Aha! Zabuza formed the mark very quickly. Water release, water dragon bullet technique. A surging chakra spurted out, and in the back, the huge rolling waves formed a huge water dragon, winding and circling, under the control of Zabuza's chakra. Ouch! A roaring giant water dragon. This awe-inspiring atmosphere spread out. This is a technique that only Junin has the strength to unleash. In the back position, Sakura had already widened her eyes. For Haruno Sakura, who had just graduated, the fighting scene at this moment was far beyond what she could accept and understand. Naruto and Sasuke in the front seats also had solemn expressions. Especially the latter, with a hint of awe in his pupils, and his hands clenched tightly at this moment. This kind of power. This is the power he longs for. Earth release, earth formation wall technique. The roaring dragon, forced to a close position at extreme speed. In this life, Kakashi did not use the copying ability of Sharingan, but directly chose the most time-saving and labor-saving method. Fully utilize the chakra attribute restraint principle. Earth escape ninjutsu that can be used directly. Boom. In the ground position, after a violent shock, accompanied by Kakashi's completed imprint, a huge wall rose from the ground. Precisely, it blocked the front position of the water dragon. Boom. Crash. The power was completely offset, and there was no way to break through the barrier. The water dragon hit the giant wall heavily and made a fierce bombardment. Then it collapsed. The waves are venting towards both sides. The next second, earth escape, rock burst technique. Kakashi also formed a seal immediately. On the lower side, the ground is cracked one after another. Boom, 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 one after another, thorns of rock and earth flew out from the ground and struck towards Zabuza's position at extremely high speed. Extremely sharp spikes. Extreme speed. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. Wherever you look. Zabuza's eyes couldn't help but condense. Water escape, the great waterfall technique. Not daring to hold back or hesitate, a large amount of chakra poured out in the shortest possible time. The huge waves that followed were violently rising. Boom, the chilly air spread, the overwhelming surging tide. The attributes will be restrained. Then use a larger tide to make up for it. And in order to get more room to maneuver, Zabuza increased the output of chakra, pushing the waves to the extreme. Walla! One layer after another rolled in. Not only aimed at Kakashi in front of him, but also covered Menma, Sasuke and others who were farther away within the range. The fierce and surging waves. Bang, bang, bang. After swallowing more than 10 rock spikes that came suddenly, it still swept towards the positions of Kakashi, Menma and others with undiminished power. A strong attack A-level water escape technique covering a large area. Even if it was released by a ruthless person like Zabuza, in such a huge ninja world, most ninjas would find it difficult to escape when facing such a technique. Even if there was a thick white fog blocking the view of the technique, Menma, Naruto, Sasuke and others, but just the power they felt. It was enough to change the faces of the 4 little ones in Team 7. But, for Kakashi, it was nothing at all. Earth escape, earth flow wall technique. You have a stronger water escape. Then I also have a stronger earth escape. The same chakra was exhausted to the limit, and the ground shook violently. Boom. In a strong shaking. In the front position. Another huge wall that was several times more exaggerated than the previous one suddenly jumped out from the ground. In the front position. The several huge dog heads that appeared. The semicircular posture was presented. Bang. Crash. The huge waves that were pouring down were all blocked. This was a wave that could not be crossed at all. Zabuza's face became very ugly after seeing this scene. Kakashi is very strong. Zabuza knew this a long time ago, but his attacks were not effective at all, which made it difficult for Zabuza to accept. He thought that even if he overestimated Kakashi infinitely, even if the opponent was really stronger than him, he still brought a group of burdens with him. He could take advantage of this and easily find Kakashi's flaws, and then win. Even if Kakashi was so cold-blooded that he didn't care about these subordinates. Then he could also successfully complete the task and get the head of that old man. However, the development of things was far beyond Zabuza's own expectations. Kakashi didn't give him any chance, and he couldn't get rid of Kakashi at all. But he couldn't accept Zabuza admitting defeat and retreating here. At least we need to get more information, or we can lure Kakashi away and let Bai kill the old man. Single quote. Zabuza stared at Kakashi, and in less than a second, his brain quickly turned many thoughts. This is the decision made. With a step, swoosh. He wanted to retreat directly to increase the distance. Almost at the same time, Kakashi on the opposite side also took action. The finger that was bitten directly. Summoning technique. The palm pressed down suddenly. Puff. When a thick white mist spread. Swoosh. The smoke was blown away. Woof 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 woof. 8 ninja dogs of different sizes suddenly appeared beside Kakashi. In the original work, it is unknown why Kakashi held back, which led to him being trapped by Zabuza's water prison technique and almost causing the annihilation of Team 7. But in this life, Kakashi obviously had no intention of holding back. Wasn't Zabuza confident that he would not be captured? Then Kakashi directly summoned his contracted ninja dogs. What is this? Although Zabuza was still limited by the obstruction of the mist hidden technique, even if the distance was not very far, he could not see clearly what Kakashi summoned, but these several auras that suddenly appeared, at such a close distance. Zabuza could still easily capture them. This undoubtedly made his heart skip a few beats. An ominous omen also emerged in Zabuza's heart. Earth escape chasing fang technique. In the close-range confrontation, Kakashi was already stained with Zabuza's aura. His several ninja dogs had perfectly remembered Zabuza's aura the moment they were summoned. This did not require any additional commands. Almost at the moment when Kakashi's mind moved, the seals were made synchronously. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The cracks in the ground burst open. The ninja dogs rushed out at high speed in sync. Not good. This can clearly sense several chakras approaching, but it just can't accurately lock the position. This makes Zabuza's expression very ugly. Swish. The beheading sword swung up quickly. The figure retreated at high speed. However, the speed of Kakashi's ninja dogs was far beyond Zabuza's expectations, and they relied on their sense of smell and were not restricted by the mist-hidden technique at all. In a flash, crack, bang, bang, just when Zabuza retreated a distance, the ninja dogs had already rushed to the close point, and one after another, they jumped out from under the ground. Ninja dogs. At a close distance. This is obviously a visible form. Zabuza's pupils suddenly shrank. This is when he finally reacted. Now there is no room for him to dodge. Bye. He could only shout out in a sharp voice. Ice release. Ice rock hall no jutsu. However, long before Zabuza shouted, a figure had already flashed out from the right rear position. This mark was formed at a very fast speed. Buzz. In the air, vibrating ice crystals. The cold air gathered at a very fast speed. With Zabuza as the center, the multiple ice walls formed by wrapping around him just blocked the attacks of Kakashi's ninja dogs, allowing Zabuza to have a brief respite, to regroup. But Kakashi obviously would not give such an opportunity. With the help of the ninja dog's strong attack, he also approached Kakashi in front of him. Fire release, Great Flame Jutsu. The mark was completed at a very fast speed. Boom! The refined chakra, the scorching flames ejected from the mouth. In an instant, the ice walls in front of them melted, allowing Zabuza, who was wrapped inside, to be exposed again. They faced each other directly, even if they could only vaguely see each other's figures. But Zabuza could clearly sense the strong killing intent emanating from Kakashi, coupled with the ninja dogs that were ready to move around. Zabuza's expression was really ugly. How ugly it was. At this moment, Zabuza was truly aware that a person's reputation is like a tree's shadow, and Kakashi could make a name for himself in the Third Ninja World War, and there was absolutely no adulteration. Kakashi did not hold back at all. He wanted to suppress Zabuza with absolute hard power. It seems that this is the end of me. Single quote. Even thinking so. But Zabuza did not show any signs of weakness or shrinking, and a strong murderous aura emerged between his eyebrows. Zabuza, who was extremely proud in his heart, would not choose a weak death. To die, then he had to die standing up. Boom! The powerful beheading sword. The air wave burst out. Ah! Zabuza roared and pressed forward. Even if he died, he had to bite off a piece of meat from Kakashi. Wenbai, who was not far away, saw Zabuza fall into danger again. The face hidden under the mask showed a hint of urgency. Just when he was about to rush over to help. Ninjutsu Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. On the side, suddenly, a blood-red figure jumped over. It was Menma, who had been ready on the side. The moment he saw Bai appear, he shouted for Sasuke, Naruto and others to stay where they were to protect Tazuna. On the other hand, he did not give the two people a chance to react at all, and his chakra exploded under his feet, and he quickly approached Bai's position. When Bai had already exposed his position, Menma could naturally lock Bai's position. At the same time as he approached, more than 10 cold rays flashed from his palm at the same time. Then, the imprint was completed. The more than 10 shurikens immediately turned into hundreds of cold rays, and in a flash they came directly to the position in front of Bai. Although the scale is not as exaggerated as that used by Sarutobi Hiruzen and Namikaze Minato. But in the duel between middle and lower ninjas, it is already quite threatening. This is also the second ninjutsu that Menma learned from the Book of Seals. Such a destructive power, at least now Bai can't take it lightly. Ice Release Exploding Ice Crystal Technique. A body of bursting ice crystals. The cold air surged layer by layer. Boom, ding 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 ding. Crack. Faced with the power of those shurikens that blocked the attack route, these shurikens did not break through Haku's ice escape technique interception, but Menma's intention of delaying Haku was achieved. The last Haku may not be able to help Zabuza defeat Kakashi, but with the victory in hand, Menma doesn't want to see too many disturbances in the situation, not to mention that Haku has the ice release blood succession limit. If your personal strength is adequate, it can be regarded as the ceiling for Junin, and it is the most suitable training object for you at the moment. The approaching figure. Menma's pupils also showed a hint of solemnity. Get away. Shiro looked at Menma, who was standing in front of him. There was also a look of anxiety and anger on his face hidden under the mask. Because Zabuza, who was not far away, was already in a critical situation. With Kakashi's assistance from the ninja dog, Zabuza completely lost the space to move and was covered in wounds. This was different from the previous situation. A completely different scene. Bai will naturally feel impatient. Haha, then it depends on whether you have this level, Mist Ninja. Menma smiled softly, and when he turned his hand over, it was a kunai that appeared, and an extremely cold light reflected on the sharp blade. Then go to hell. Shiro is not willing to kill anyone, but Zabuza's safety will always come first in Shiro's heart. For Zabuza, Bai is willing to do anything, even willing to give his own life. Ice Release, 1000 Killing Water Soaring Technique. There is no need or room for hesitation. Shiro quickly formed seals while galloping towards Menma in the front position. All around, the icy cold air that was directly gathered condensed into needles of ice crystals one after another. Call out, call out, call out, call out. Following from that, it is under Bai's control. He attacked Menma with great speed. The blooming cold light, the approaching biting chill. So fast, even though it was already clear before that this young man with the blood of the Snow Clan is very powerful. But in the moment of personal confrontation, Menma now truly realized how powerful Shiro was. The pupils suddenly shrank. Menma tilted his head and stretched his body in reverse. While avoiding most of the ice needle attacks, he also quickly waved the kunai in his palm. Ding 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 ding. Block all remaining ice needles. Blocking gap. Bai has already moved closer to the position in front of him. Those are the same as thousands of copies held up high and held in the gaps between the fingers. Just as he was about to stab Menma's vital spot. Fire release. Phoenix Immortal Fire Technique. Not far away, Sasuke's figure appeared in a flash, and his hands quickly formed imprints. When completed, boom, Sasuke placed one hand on the corner of his mouth. The flames that spewed out one after another, under Sasuke's precise control, circled and rushed towards Bai. The scorching heat that hits your face. Rang Bai's face couldn't help but change slightly. Ice Escape Ice Crystal Technique. It can only be an attack that is forced to give up. Directly switched to defense. Then a layer of ice wall was erected. Boom. Wow. Groups of flames bombarded upwards, followed by huge amounts of water vapor. While bursting. Crack. Boom. The crystal burst out. Whoosh. Bai had to retreat diagonally to the rear. Whoosh. 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 But on the retreating road, another golden figure jumped out. It was Naruto who came with Sasuke to attack. This is just the right opportunity. Seeing Shiro, who was completely defenseless, the gap was wide open. Naruto's fist struck hard. Boom. He hit Bai hard on the right side of his waist. Feeling the huge force and pain transmitted from him, Bai's figure couldn't help but trembled, and then flew backwards in the opposite direction at high speed. Boom. Uncontrollable body shape. It hit the ground hard again. Under the second impact. Well, Baidu couldn't help but snorted secretly, and a trace of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. People haven't gotten up yet. Whoosh. Sasuke, who was in the front position, flew to the closer position again. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. The posture of leaping high. Ice escape. This is already a speed that is enough to surpass the average Chunin level. Bai didn't have time to get out of the way. He could only passively condense another ice crystal body from an overhead angle to block Sasuke's attack. Naruto and Sasuke's perfectly connected attacks. Menma was stunned for a moment. Didn't they just agree to let the two of them stay where they are to protect their employer? Just leave Sakura alone. What if there are still enemies? He has the most powerful perception ability, and can tell that there is no other chakra around, but these two idiots don't have such ability. This is just a pure desire to fight. Single quote. Menma shook his head helplessly. But it's good this way. He has the confidence to fight against Bai alone, and now with Sasuke and Naruto. One Bai. It's really not enough. The most important thing is, Bai's most powerful means at present has no chance to be used. Looking at Bai, who has fallen into a posture of focusing on one thing and losing another. Menma's eyes also showed a trace of murderous intent. Swoosh. The same figure rushed up. Swish. A kunai raised high with one hand. Joined the siege of Bai. Bang. Wah-la-la. Dong. Attacked from three different angles, everyone's strength has steadily reached the level of Chunin, and it is really impossible for Bai to resist for too long. Pucci. After relying on the special features of ice escape and the advantage of being able to seal with one hand, he barely resisted for a while. In the end, he was hit by Naruto. The middle door was directly opened. Sasuke seized this opportunity, with a flash of cold light, holding a kunai, and also fiercely plunged into Bai's chest. Sizzle. The trace of direct slashing. Wow. The piercing pain transmitted by this made Bai's face slightly distorted, and a large amount of blood spurted out of his mouth. The mask was also filled with a bloody smell at this moment. A completely crushed situation. There was no possibility of a comeback. Naruto, who was standing aside, hesitated a little when he saw this scene. But Menma, who was attacking from the side, did not stop at all. He also held a kunai and inserted it into Bai's chest accurately and fiercely. Pucci. The kunai that slashed down from top to bottom just like Sasuke did. Then a large amount of blood splashed out. When it covered the whole body, a bloody scene was reflected in the eyes of Menma, Sasuke, and Naruto. The vitality and strength disappeared at a rapid speed. The sight became dim and blurred. Master Zabuza. Haku could only look at Zabuza, who was also trapped in a deadly situation, from a distance. After a glance, his head tilted and his consciousness completely fell into darkness. At this moment, there was no life. Menma didn't have any special feelings towards Bai. At best, he just regarded Bai as a whetstone for himself. He didn't hesitate to kill Bai. It should be said that this is the thinking of a normal ninja. You are the enemy, you want to kill me, then I kill you, this should be a matter of course. Moreover, after the previous preparation and baptism. Regarding killing, Menma can already face it as usual. This is the most realistic portrayal of this world, and it is also the daily life that Menma must quickly adapt to. The same is true for Sasuke. Looking at the mist ninja lying in a pool of blood, there is no life. Sasuke's face didn't change at all, compared with the hell he had seen before. This is simply child's play. Only Naruto still had an unnatural expression, even though he knew that it was normal to kill the ninjas of the hostile ninja village. But after all, under the 12 years of almost greenhouse-like teaching in Konoha village, this is really not something that anyone can quickly adapt to. This is also the reason why Naruto hesitated at the last moment. When Menma and others completed the encirclement and killing of Bai, on the other side, Bai's cover was lost, and Kakashi did not hold back as in the original book, but released all his strength. Zabuza is really not Kakashi's opponent. It can only be said that there is a gap between elite Jonin. Zzzzzzzzz. The thunder that burst out wantonly. Boom. The terrifying might that roared up. When those ninja dogs had completely restricted Zabuza, Kakashi rushed straight in. Pucci easily broke through Zabuza's last struggle and defense, and penetrated Zabuza's heart. In an instant, the piercing pain and severe numbness spread all over his body. When Zabuza's body couldn't help but tremble violently, a lot of blood spurted out of his mouth. Wow, that was the energy that was fading away quickly. The vision was rapidly darkening. Looking at Kakashi's pupils that were close at hand, without any temperature. Haha, is this my fate? Single quote. This thought only popped up in the depths of his mind. He reluctantly turned his head and took a look at the thick fog that quietly dissipated and reappeared, and the white body lying in a pool of blood. The pupils seemed to reveal an infinitely complex color, and countless past memories flashed through his mind like a revolving lantern. White. Zabuza also nodded his head, and there was no breath at all. He died directly in Kakashi's hands. And it was only after finally confirming Zabuza's death that Kakashi slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Don't look at the battle just now. Kakashi has always been in the upper hand, but in the battle between ninjas, if you are not careful, you may be overturned directly. Kakashi is stronger than Zabuza, but he is only so strong. Not to mention, Kakashi has to pay attention to Menma, Tazuna and others. There are still many aspects to consider. Fortunately, he won the final victory. Release. After looking at Zabuza's body that had already fallen limply on the ground, Kakashi asked his ninja dog and confirmed that there was no other breath around, and then he lifted the summoning technique. And took out a sealing scroll from his arms. Seal Zabuza's body and the beheading sword together, and then jumped towards the location of Menma and others. In the distance, it was also when the fog completely dissipated, as if seeing that the battle was over. Haruno Sakura and Tazuna stepped closer together. Teacher Kakashi, big brother Kakashi. Didn't I tell you guys to stay by Tazuna-san's side? Why are you running out one by one? What should you do if something goes wrong? Although the result is good. But the reprimand should still be given. Kakashi deliberately put on a stern face, looking at Menma, Naruto, and Sasuke, and said with a slightly heavier tone. Naruto also shrank his head subconsciously, scratched the back of his head with a little embarrassment, and said awkwardly, "Ahaha, this is not a moment of restraint, big brother Kakashi, next time, we must pay attention, must pay attention." Sasuke still had an iceberg-like expression, not moved at all. Menma directly changed the subject. This mist ninja has the blood limit of ice escape, I think it should also be worth studying, Teacher Kakashi. The value of ninja corpses. This is also taught in the ninja school. Bloodline limit is one thing, and the information in the brain is another. Kakashi sealed Zabuza's body and took it away because he considered the important information about Kurigakure in Zabuza's brain. You should know that this demon was one of the first 7 people in Kurigakure, and he was also a ruthless person who assassinated Mizukage. The research value is great. By here, of course, is the bloodline itself. The Snow Clan. That was also the former wealthy ninja clan of Kurigakure. Is it ice escape? It is indeed worthy of research. Kakashi nodded and took out a sealing scroll. Half squat down. Seal. Under the hand seal. Bai's body was also sealed into the scroll smoothly. The blood successor limit. What is the blood successor limit? Naruto blinked and asked with a hint of confusion. The so-called blood successor limit is when two chakras are combined to create a new escape technique. This is called the blood successor limit. Naruto, the teacher has taught this in the previous course. You forgot again. Sakura, who had just arrived, opened her mouth to explain after hearing Naruto's doubts. Haruno Sakura, who had been a little uneasy before, quickly recovered after seeing that the powerful enemies were successfully dealt with, and she even still had a little complaint in her heart. The meaning is in it. I feel like Menma is making a fuss out of a molehill. Look, wasn't this enemy successfully dispatched? Nothing to worry about. Of course, Sakura was just thinking about these words in her heart and would not say them foolishly. Oh, really? Haha, maybe I forgot. Naruto laughed with an awkward yet polite smile. Tazuna, who followed closely from the side, looked at Kakashi, Menma and the others with a hint of lingering emotion. This old man really didn't expect that Kado would hire such a powerful ninja to kill him. You have to be lucky. With the reward from AC level mission, you can let such a strong Konoha ninja protect you. God wants me to build the bridge. This is the hope of our country of waves. Single quote. Dazuna's heart was filled with confidence at this moment. Ambush after ambush. From the two most ordinary Chunin to the elite Junin level, it must be said that this C-level mission is really special to the extreme, and the difficulty has soared directly to A level. This is what Kakashi said. The 7th team he leads, if it were an ordinary team, Zabuza would definitely be killed more than n times. Even the team led by Asuma and Yuhi Kurenai is quite difficult. Asuma's strength is far behind Kakashi, let alone Yuhi Kurenai. Therefore, when Dazuna said that he was lucky, he was indeed extremely lucky. And that was after successfully dealing with Zabuza and Haku. The 7th team and Dazuna also set off again, and the rest of the journey was uneventful. No other attacks were encountered. After arriving at the area that can be called the strait between the country of fire and the country of waves, I took the small boat called by Dazuna, crossed the sea, and directly arrived at this small island country called the country of waves. Wait until the group of people arrives. The sky has become completely dark. But upon entering the so-called richest town in the country of waves, there were very few lights inside. This made Naruto, Haruno Sakura and others who were already accustomed to the synchronized bright lights of thousands of houses in Konoha Hidden Village at night feel a little uncomfortable. On the road to Dazuna's house by the sea. Why don't people here turn on the lights at night? Old man, are you people in the kingdom of waves used to going to bed early? Isn't this time too early? The outspoken Naruto looked directly at Tazuna and asked. Well, Naruto, it's not because we go to bed early, but because we are very poor here in the land of waves. We are so poor that we can even save on electric lights. Just save a little. Many people don't even have electric lights in their homes. Quote. After a slight pause in his expression, Dazuna replied with a wry smile. A poor country. It is possible to be poor in all aspects. The power issue is really just one aspect. Quote exclamation mark question mark quote. Naruto seemed surprised by Tazuna's answer. His eyes were widened and he could not speak for a long time. For being born in Konoha. In this life, he was raised as the son of the Hokage. It is impossible for Naruto to truly understand what poverty is. He could only try to understand it literally. Go straight all the way. Arriving at Dazuna's home on the edge of the coast, as a bridge expert, Dazuna's family situation is still much better than that of ordinary people in the Kingdom of Waves. At least looking at the brightly lit scenery, one can already tell the difference. Dazuna's eyes felt a little moist when he saw the familiar hut in his home. This trip was full of ups and downs, and he almost thought he would never come back. If that were the case, Dazuna would certainly not regret her choice, but she would still be worried about her daughter and young grandson. The country of waves is not a stable country. I'm back, Zinbo, Inari. He strode forward and pushed the door directly open. Dazuna shouted with great joy. People in the room also heard the footsteps outside the door. A woman with a beautiful face had already walked into the entrance corridor in advance. When she heard Dazuna's familiar voice, the woman's face showed a hint of joy. Dad, you are back. This woman is Dazuna's only daughter, Zinbo. Well, I'm back, Tsunami, go and prepare dinner. There are several ninja masters from Konoha Hidden Village who are also going to dine with us. Let's cook something rich today. Seeing the familiar face of his daughter, the expression on Dazuna's face also became softer. Turning slightly to one side, revealing Kakashi, Menma and the others in the back, Tazuna gave instructions to his daughter. Welcome everyone, Ninja-sama. I'll get ready right away. What his father was doing in Konoha Hidden Village, Sunba knew very well what he was. When he saw Kakashi and others, Sunba quickly bowed slightly and saluted. Don't be too polite, just prepare a little bit. We ninjas are still very casual in this regard. Kakashi said with a smile. This is really not a polite statement. Being a ninja is a profession that often requires sleeping in the open, sleeping in the wild, eating whole grains, or even having nothing to eat. This is commonplace. Not only Kakashi is used to this, Menma, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke have also been used to it in the past. In my career as a ninja school student, I have become accustomed to it. The current education in Konoha Hidden Village is certainly a bit like cultivating flowers in a greenhouse. But the basic education of ninja is impossible to give up. Wilderness survival drills are a must-have course in ninja school when you enter senior year. They are already used to this kind of life by having simulated survival moments in some vast forests in Konoha Hidden Village. So, I'm really not that picky when it comes to eating and drinking. Yes, I understand. After Jinbo smiled slightly, he immediately went to the kitchen to make preparations. Kakashi, Menma, and Naruto also filed in under the leadership of Tazuna and went straight to the hall on the left side of the house to rest. When Menma passed the front corridor, he caught a glimpse of a short figure sticking out from the edge of the other side of the corridor. After noticing Menma's sight, he quickly hid again. That grandson of Dazuna. Menma only raised his eyebrows and didn't pay much attention. This is just a passerby. For Menma, in the next trip, in addition to waiting for Dazuna to finish building the bridge, the only goal is to see if there is an opportunity to fleece the big fat sheep of Cardo. Money is certainly not omnipotent, but if you don't have it, you can't do it. As a businessman who can control the economy of some small countries and mix in the underworld, Cardo must have a lot of assets. This fat sheep. Menma is sure to eat it. He won't be as wasteful as Team 7 in the original book. It can be prepared to be simpler. It is obvious that Tsunami still took out all his family assets. After all, this is a ninja who came to protect his father, so Suna naturally couldn't treat him perfunctorily. And it was just when dinner was over. Kakashi, I have something to ask you. Sasuke stood up and looked at Kakashi with a slightly sharp look in his eyes. This is also a foreseeable development. After all, Kakashi, as a non-Uchiha existence, can actually have the Sharingan, and Sasuke will definitely care. Before, he was always in battle or on the road, and there was no suitable opportunity to ask. Now he settled down at a destination. Sasuke naturally couldn't bear it. Well, no problem, come with me. Kakashi was also prepared. The moment Sasuke asked, he also stood up, and then took Sasuke and stepped out of the house. I was preempted. And looking at the two people leaving, Menma, who was also about to get up just now, shook his head a little helplessly. He also has questions to ask Kakashi. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.